Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you today. Coming up on today's show, Ryan Wood, Packers beat writer for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Green Bay Press-Gazette. He joins us coming up at 3 o'clock. Lots going on with the Green Bay Packers in the last couple of days. Green and Gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Dusty Evely from Acme Packing Company, the Pack a Day podcast, film analyst, joins us at 4. Now, we booked Dusty yesterday. I tried to get Paul Brettel as well from Wisconsin State Journal and ESPN Lacrosse. And you're probably going to yourself, oh, that's good. Get some Packer talk. Well, yes, but Dusty Evely, there for a while, all the way up until this last year, was covering the Indianapolis Colts, doing film study for the Indianapolis Colts and Colts Wire. Paul Brettel actually covers the Colts for Colts Wire as much as he does, say, for the Packers type deal. So they both know their stuff about this Zaire Franklin guy that they just got. So I wanted to get one of them on. Brettel could not do it. Dusty could. So we'll get Dusty Evely on at 4 o'clock to talk more about that. Also, we're got a lot of NFL free agency talk today. Bobby Portis with some interesting comments on Run It Back earlier today. We'll do that in the last segment of this hour. Of course, talk about the crew. Normally it's at 3. Ryan Wood's there. So we'll do that at 3:20 today. Really kind of want to go around the World Baseball Classic, kind of give everybody an update on how everybody's doing around the Classic. Kyle Harrison was the man for the most part yesterday. I'll hear from him from after yesterday's game. And Uribe's celebrations, holy crap. Dude, you're literally got to go to a TV break, literally just for a celebration that he does based on what we saw over the weekend. So we'll get to that as well. Joining us here in studio is Tommy Wirtz, who is back from spring training, him and Tim Allen. And I was asking him off the air earlier. I was like, so your thoughts about Tim Allen prior to leaving and now after spending a week kind of with Tim Allen, because now you're with them. Once baseball season starts, you're going to talk to him as much as you talk to your girlfriend. So then it's like every day for months on end. Thoughts on the franchise?
I understand why he has the nickname, the franchise. Yeah, he is the show wherever he goes over there. Right. Tim Allen was great. I mean, we had a blast.
Brewers took care of you?
Brewers took care of us. It was a fantastic week for Spring Training Live. Couldn't have gone really any smoother with the situations that we had. Now, Tim Allen did save the day. I said this story on the Mason Crosby show. If Tim Allen didn't ask to get a Gatorade, I would have left my wallet at the Airbnb, which would have been just the worst way to end the entire trip, going to the airport and then realizing you don't have your wallet. But I actually wanted to just hijack your show for a little bit because I did get you a gift, Sparky. I got you something. If you know anything about Tim Allen loves
Tim Allen's involved. This is not good for me.
Loves basebal cards, right? We went to a card shop when we were over there. We had a blast with Joe over at the card shop. It was a real good rags to riches story of this is the card shop he grew up going to, and sure enough, he bought it. He bought the card shop when he got older.
The Brewers had you buy that at spring training?
No, I got this at the team store when I had my Minnesota guys in town. I took them over to the team store. Yeah, the wheat baseball is a super underrated look for the Milwaukee Brewers. However, Tim wanted to get as many Brewers and Dallas Cowboys cards as he could possibly have, right? So it was anything like Dak Prescott card. He got a Christian Yelich card. And then we got a box too, and we were separating the Brewers out of the box there. And Charlie was there for a couple of them as we did that on Spring Training Live. We had...
Oh, you did it on video?
We did...
On the streaming?
We did like 1 or 2 packs, I think, on video. And then the rest of them, it was nothing from there. However, we did open up the whole box throughout the week. And there was one card in there that I thought, if I don't bring something back for Sparky, it is it is this thing right here. I have to bring
I
this
just wanted
back.
you to survive and not quit by the end of this week.
I
was happy with that.
I was in no danger of quitting.
Okay, good.
I went the whole trip without a cigarette.
You survived that.
I mean,
I thought for sure you'd be smoking a pack a day with
the
him.
secondhand sidebar, Tim Allen, he's gonna bend the rules on where he can smoke a cigarette, no matter where it is. I'm surprised he didn't light one up in the airport, based on what we saw from Tim Allen over the last week. But regardless, back on track. We were opening up baseball cards, and I don't know why this guy. You make an appearance in the bigs, you get a card, and if anyone was going to get a 2025 top 75 edition card, one Anthony Siegler right here. So figure whatever you want to do with that, whether you want to put it up on a dartboard or you want to keep it around.
In my desk drawer, I have a candle lighter. So in the break, we'll go set it on fire in the parking lot, and then we can put the video up outside.
You were so mad he left, right?
Yeah,
that's
right.
Why.
Yeah, that's
but
it.
You might actually need to appreciate this card, especially if you're going to play some Kyle Harrison sound on the show coming up later on today. If Anthony Siegler got the ball rolling on getting Shane Drowan or David Hamilton involved in this, you'll have to have him in your remembrance all the time. Anthony Siegler, they have him listed as second base on this card. Did he ever play a game at second base for the Brewers last year?
He played like everywhere around the infield.
I don't remember that at all, but 62 games, 501 OPS. That's
you
for
train wrecked the first part of my show for an Anthony Siegler card.
You're not happy? You're
I
not excited?
literally said, I was like, why don't you train wreck the end of my show?
Yeah.
No, this is really good.
Really important.
I only got you and my girlfriend a card. That's it. That's the only people I got.
It's the only two people
Well,
that got gifts.
something.
Yeah, that's it. You and her.
All right, good. You're done. Get out. No, you're done. Get the hell out of my studio. We should be talking about the NFL and free agency. And he hijacks it for some horrible Anthony Siegler card. Good God Almighty. Okay, so poll question up, Charles. We got the poll question up, ready to roll.
We do indeed.
All right, poll question up on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Of the moves the Packers have made, which have you liked the best? The Aaron Banks restructure, the trade for Zaire Franklin, moving on from Rashawn Gary, or re-signing Sean Ryan to come back as well. In the second segment of the show, we're going to talk about a guy that wasn't supposed to be on the roster right now, but yet somehow still is on this roster and nobody's talking about it. That'll be coming up in the next segment, as we say with the Packers. Now, you can also call in. You don't have to just vote on the poll right there on X at WI Sports Radio. Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Again, on the social, streaming live on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. Let's go through these one by one. The Zaire Franklin trade for Colby Wooden. Now, he is more expensive by like $6 million a year. Wooden's going into last year of his deal. Wooden is younger, defensive lineman, undersized, not really what the Packers need at this point. They need big wide bodies, as we've talked about. So it really doesn't fit what they're trying to do, I don't think, up front with Devontae Wyatt. So odd man out makes sense. You can figure out how to come to a deal with Quay Walker. By the way, has he signed yet? Because 10 minutes ago when I came in here, he had not signed with anybody yet. So you can't come up with a deal with Quay Walker. So Quay Walker, okay, cool, we're done. So we're going to go get Zaire Franklin. Couple of things. Number one, obviously he was an all-pro, Pro Bowler, all of that in 24. People act like it was 10 years ago. It was literally 2 seasons ago. It's not that long ago. Then last year, in the offseason, his ankle needed to be cleaned up. So they went in and did a surgery on his ankle. So then he comes back into the season to start the season, and all is fine. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the season, boop, up comes the ankle as an issue on the injury report. I think it was for 1 or 2 weeks or whatever the case was. So I don't know whether or not he is healthy, good or not. It appears that he is. By the end of the season, Zaire Franklin looked a lot more like Zaire Franklin than he did probably in the beginning of the season. Now, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for why he's not good in pass defense. He's not good in pass defense. Never has been, never going to be. It's a 7th round pick. He's been a captain for an awful long time in Indy. And most of you know I'm a Colts fan as well. So Packers fan and Colts fan, I've pretty much watched his entire career. Did he have a great year last year? No. He missed a lot of tackles? Yes. No question. But I will say this. He made a lot of impact plays throughout his career in Indianapolis. And I understand that the age 30 scares everybody to death of, well, he's 30, career's over. Let's move on. Let's go find somebody younger and so forth. But the other key piece of this is that your defensive coordinator was in Indianapolis with Franklin at the beginning of his career for a couple of years. They were together. He knows the guy. He knows the dude. He knows what he wants in a linebacker, obviously, next to Edgerrin Cooper. A lot of people, including myself, have been saying, you want nasty, you want an edge, you want all of that. Here you go. Here you go. Think Micah Parsons on steroids as far as talking crap goes on podcasts and so forth. Did you see the podcast with him and Jeff Teague?
I did not.
You didn't see it? It was earlier this month. I really, really applauded it because I can't stand Jeff Teague. And he just went in on Jeff Teague because Jeff Teague got him on and was calling him the wrong Zaire. Oh, Zaire Smith, blah, 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 blah. He's like, dude, put some respect in my name. Yeah, Zaire Smith, whatever. And then he just snapped on him. And then it was all over.
Fair.
Then he pretty much just laid out Jeff Teague's career. And
should probably know who you're interviewing.
Just absolutely went off on the dude. But is he going to talk crap about opponents? Yep. No question. Is he going to showboat and taunt and play on the edge and potentially get personal fouls? Yep, absolutely. But again, either you want that type of player or you don't want that type of player. He is that type of player. The other thing about the dude is, and sometimes it gets him in trouble, like Edgerrin Cooper, he goes a million miles an hour. And if he's wrong, it's going to look ugly. And if he's right, you're going to be like, hot damn, that was a great play. Just is. You can look on social media and find clips. They played the Chargers last year. He breaks up a pass in the end zone like 40 yards downfield. That you're like, oh, man, that was amazing. Another play in a blitz, he comes flying through the gap. So there's good, there's bad. I just think that when you're there for 7 years and you're a captain and all your guys love you and think you're that guy, and now you bring him in to help be a vet as well, and maybe, just maybe, that defense will function even better now with him because of Gannon and what Gannon wants at that position, it makes sense to me. I know a majority of people don't like it. I heard Andy Herman today on Inside Wisconsin Sports from the Pack a Day podcast. And he had all kinds of numbers. Oh, man. He was an encyclopedia full. Not encyclopedia. Those are words.
I'm looking at the PFF grades right now, and it's not pretty, dude.
No. What's the grade in 24?
He is the 87th best linebacker in football last year out of 88 qualified linebackers.
What was the number in 24? I already said he was bad last year.
He played an entire season last year, Spark. You can't ignore that. He played the entire year, and the entire year was bad. Yes, we can go back to years before that. So let me ask
you this, Charlie. On a bad year, career's over? Is that how you view it? If a guy has a bad year in the NFL, you go, it's over. He was an all-pro the year before. The next year,
he was 50th out of 83 qualified linebackers. That's still not that great. That's 61. That's average. That's
how does he get to that level then? How does he get to a Pro Bowl and all that if he was 50?
Have you seen who gets to Pro Bowls lately, dude?
No. I'm just
that's crazy to say that. That's that much of an award when we talked about it 4 weeks ago. How much Pro Bowls just don't matter anymore.
Right. I'm just wondering. So 53rd, so 52 running backs made the Pro Bowl that year.
No.
Oh, then how did he make it?
Because 18 guys turned down a Pro Bowl invite, and he said yes. We've talked about this.
Oh, that's
that.
I was just wondering who the guys were that turned it down and how he got in.
How do you think Rashawn Gary got to a Pro Bowl this year when we were talking about how bad he is?
That's true.
People turn that down. You know that game does not matter as much to these players as it used to. I think that's completely unfair to point at a Pro Bowl and say that's enough. This guy last season, the year that is most recent, the year that he had where he played an entire year, had a 29.9 coverage grade. What I worry about is that we talked about it the whole second half of the season last year with the Green Bay Packers about getting Edgerrin Cooper into a more of aggressive role in that pass game where we can use him in blitz packages, use him more like that.
Right.
Getting a player like Zaire Franklin stops you from doing that because you're going to have to keep Edgerrin Cooper in coverage almost the entire game. I think a guy like Zaire Franklin can help you in the pass rush, but it's the coverage that I'm worried about. And Quay Walker, that's what people were worried about last season with him too.
He was a second team All-Pro in 24. Did a bunch of people turn out All-Pro nods too that year? Is that how that works? Because I thought All-Pros
what year was last year? 2025.
Right, in 24, he was second. Well, you said he was 53rd ranked by Pro Football Focus, which is the Bible we use apparently, and yet he was a second-team All-Pro. So how did you get to be a second-team All-Pro if you're that bad? I'll wait. Because, again, David Bakhtiari used to always complain about this, too. How can I be an All-Pro and not be a Pro Bowler? How does that make any sense? You're right. It doesn't.
Sometimes when you stand out on a bad defense, it helps you better in the media coverage, too.
I guess if you're talking about a bad defense. But I'm just telling you, in 24, he was second-team All-Pro, and he was a Pro Bowler. And we've seen Bakhtiari be an All-Pro and not be a Pro Bowler and not even make the Pro Bowl on a given year. So, again, we can go back and forth. My point is simply this, and I'll stay with it, and y'all can be against me, and that's fine. I like the move because of what else is out there. That is a good move to me. And furthermore, if you look at his contract, and that is something else that we should also talk about as well. I'm going to bring up his contract here. If you look at Zaire Franklin's contract, this is something where it's like, okay, he makes way more money than Colby Wooden. As he obviously should as well. In 26, his cap hit is $7 million. Do you have any idea of what the dead cap number is if they cut him?
No, what's that?
0. There's no guaranteed money. So if they get into training camp and they don't like him, they can be done. That's it. Done. See you later. Or if they want to cut him before next year, there's no dead cap money there either. So they're not on the hook necessarily for anything right now. There's no money attached to him. He doesn't become a free agent until 28. So he's a cap number of $7 million this year, $9 million next year. So you literally could do 1 year if you wanted and moved on.
And Zaire Franklin in 2024, I think this is how he got the All-Pro nod. Indianapolis Colts had one of the worst tackling defenses in football, 42.7 grade, which ranks them 24th in the league in 2024. He was the leading tackler in 2024 in the entire NFL with 118 tackles. I think that helps out a little bit there too.
Sure does.
I think when he doesn't get that same kind of opportunity to be that sole guy, last season you saw that with that Indianapolis Colts defense when it got better, especially in the second half of the year. I think that's where you saw him struggle a little bit. I think this is,
and you also changed schemes of defensive coordinators last year as well.
I think things like that, he's going to have to, even though it's a scheme he knows, it's going to be a scheme change again. And I think that's the other thing you have to worry about.
So look at this. In 2022, 167 tackles, 23, 179 tackles, 24, 173 tackles. And then last year, new coordinator, scheme change, 125 tackles. Gannon's not bringing him in here unless he has a plan for him. Because you would have to think, if you're Brian Gutekunst, you're talking with Gannon, who knows him from Indianapolis, and going from there. So anyways, we took way too much time on that. So that is the one deal on Zaire Franklin, okay? Then the other deal is moving on from Rashawn Gary for a 4th-round selection. So now, essentially, you've traded Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, and 2 first-round picks for a 4th-round pick and Micah Parsons. Now, again, just let that all sink in here at the end of the day. You are going to cut Rashawn Gary, so getting a pick for him makes everybody feel happy because I don't think anybody thought they'd be able to get a pick for Rashawn Gary. But they found the Cowboys. And I think a majority of people see that deal and go, hey, all right, we got a 4th-round pick. Charlie, what say you?
I'm happy with it. I think the Cowboys are insane. Like, a lot of these trades, it just feels like you're trying so hard to get some kind of name into your building, or it's Jerry Jones thinking that this is a player worth trading for because he sees a Pro Bowl next to his name or something like that. It just feels weird. At the same time, statistically, the Cowboys had, I think, the 4th worst defense in NFL history last season. Trading for anybody, bringing anybody into that room that was different than what you had last season is, I guess, an upgrade. Like, you had to make some kind of move. But then if you're going to do something like that, just sign Trey Hendrickson. Go and make a bigger splash.
He's still out there as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. More than trading a 4th-round pick for a guy that did nothing, literally sat on the field and stood around for the second half of the season.
33rd team on Access. Since he entered the league in 2019, Rashawn Gary is one of 6 players with 45 or more sacks, 300 or more pressures, and a pressure rating above 15%. The others on that list, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, and Josh Hines Allen. That is all.
It is just not in impact moments. When you watch the games for the Packers, feels like the times that he is making those big time plays, it's not when the Packers need it the most. Yeah, it's cool to see him get those sacks, or he has those big explosive games where he has 3 sacks all of a sudden, and it just doesn't feel like it means anything towards the rest of the season. The rest of those guys make impact plays. Rashawn Gary did not feel like an impact player last season.
I agree with you. He was non-existent in the second half of the season. I've got no problem trading a 4 for him, but I saw that stat and I was like, man, that's a pretty good one. Recently here just happening, Tremaine Edmonds signing with the Giants. He, of course, was with the Chicago Bears. 3 years, $36 million, $23.5 million. The deal there. I'm assuming you were fine having him move on.
Yeah, he was an impact player with like the turnovers last season. Outside of the turnovers, him and TJ Edwards just were really ineffective in the run game throughout a majority of the season, which was a problem for the Bears later on. And I think that this, especially with the Bears making the signing of Devin Bush and a couple other young players to fill in at that linebacker spot, should breathe new air into that team. And Tremaine Edmonds can find a new situation to hopefully give himself that same kind of thing we're looking for from Zaire Franklin in that leadership spot.
Of the moves the Packers have made, which have you liked the best? The Banks restructure, the trade for Zaire Franklin, moving on from Rashawn Gary, or Sean Ryan re-signing? Again, we'll talk with Ryan Wood, Packers beat writer for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Green Bay Press-Gazette, coming up at 3 o'clock. Award-winning Ryan Wood comes up at 3. Green and Gold update with Dusty Evely from Acme King Company and Pack a Day podcast, and we'll talk more with him about the Zaire Franklin deal. Now let's move on. We did Franklin, we did Gary. Let's talk about Sean Ryan. The Sean Ryan deal to me seemed a little expensive. Then when I tweeted out my response to it, I said, I'll trust Mike Wall. Let's see what Mike Wall thinks. And I tagged him. And Mike Wall was like, no, this is a good deal, Sparky. Now just let these 5 guys that you got out there, Morgan, Banks, Ryan, Belton, and Tom, meld together, work together, and let that offensive line come together, and it'll be fine. We have Mike Wall tomorrow on this show as well. So I'm looking forward to talking to Mike Wall, the former Packers offensive lineman. He was good with it. Then I saw the Linderbaum deal from the Ravens. Holy mother of God. What in the world? I mean, that man is making $27 million a year on average at the center position. When that happened, I was like, okay, I'm good with Sean Ryan. All right, I'm fine with Sean Ryan. That's okay with me on Sean Ryan. Your thoughts on that deal?
I thought that the Linderbaum deal is complete reaction to how the Chicago Bears took advantage of the offseason last year to rebuild their offense line with Dahlman and Thuney, and the type of step that Caleb Williams took at quarterback. They're going to have a rookie quarterback potentially. They have a running back in Ashton Genty who's just getting killed because of his offensive line last season. It's a great signing there. I don't know, the Sean Ryan deal, I'm excited about, because I feel like it's giving an opportunity to a player that last season was probably the most consistent guy overall on that entire offensive line. And that was really a breath of fresh air when you had almost no consistency in any of the other positions for this team. And because of that, I think he earned that contract. And I think that's fair to get him into that spot. Now it's just about whether he is going to be playing center, whether he's going to be playing guard for this team. Mike Wall is right that it's cool to have the same 5 guys in that room, but I don't think it's the same 5 guys. I think there's 6 guys. I think there could potentially be a 7th guy that's going to be competing for a starting spot in that group. And because of that, Sean Ryan doesn't cement himself in a specific role on this team, and that's what I'm still worried about.
I got one here from Matt Schneidman. Says, Pat McAfee show just reported that the Packers are bringing back swing tackle Darian Kennard on a 1-year deal worth up to $3.75 million. Fine.
Okay, that just guarantees Rasheed Walker isn't coming in. Not that we thought he was coming back anyways, but that confirms it for sure.
Yes, that is something to see going forward here. All right, let's take a quick timeout. Come back on the other side. I do have some text messages in here on the Nicolay Law Talking text line from the 262. Franklin is an all-pro veteran captain. Don't care about stats. From the 414, Pro Football Focus grades are a joke. If those guys actually knew how to scout, they'd be working for teams, not for Chris Collinsworth. A couple of them coming in on that. All right, coming back. I want to talk about a guy that's on this roster that myself and everybody else thought would be off of this roster at this point, yet he's still there. And I don't see anybody talking about him, and I don't understand what is going on in Green Bay. We'll discuss that next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Fiber with you. Charlie using the other side of the glass. Talking about the Packers. Talking about free agency right now. As free agency officially opened up at 11 o'clock. Can you feel it? A thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam. Buzzer beating 3. You know the feeling. And there's only one place to experience that raw exhilaration. The Potawatomi Sportsbook. Catch all the action in Supreme Space with dozens of sports betting kiosks. It's a beautiful thing. Cool drinks, 48 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, luxury seating, 2 levels, great food, full menu at the Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen. Plus, you got homemade pastries and desserts, all-day brunch, just absolutely delicious food. Great atmosphere and a monster video wall, 2,000 square feet. Only at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I consider it to be the best sportsbook in the Midwest. I'm sure you will as well. Check them out. Reserve your seat now at Potawatomi.com. There's a nominal fee, but it goes towards your food and beverage costs for that day. Must be 21 to enter the casino. Again, that's Potawatomi.com. We'll keep you updated on kind of what's going on. If we see anything on the Packers. Pat McAfee show again saying Kennard is coming back as a swing tackle for the Packers, just under $4 million. That's not something earth-shattering, doesn't mean anything really other than they keep their depth at the tackle position. Ryan Wood, Packers beat writer, comes up at 3. Dusty Evely, film analyst for Acme Packing Company and Pack-A-Day Podcast, comes up at 4 o'clock. Why do you think it is that Packers offensive lineman Elton Jenkins is still on this roster? And what do you think is his future? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. I have seen nothing anywhere on Elton Jenkins. Not a thing on Elton Jenkins.
Nothing. And it's really surprising because it feels like he would at least be a name floated around in the trade market with all these other teams that are needing centers. I mean, the Bears made a trade for a center with the Patriots for Garrett Bradbury for a 5th-round pick. You got guys like the Panthers signing Cade Mays to a 3-year contract earlier today, a guy that just isn't that great of a player. You would think that his name would at least be floating around, and it's radio silence on Elton Jenkins in general.
Yes, correct. And that's something I'm intrigued by. I said last week that, man, maybe you just keep Elton Jenkins. This center market is a disaster. There's not much out there. Maybe you just keep him. But if you keep him, you can't go in with a $24 million cap hit. So you have to extend him and move that money in order to keep him. That's the only way they can keep him. Or they cut him and then hopefully re-sign him and bring him back. But right now, the way this market looks, it's not exactly going to be a market where he's not going to get paid by somebody. He's going to get paid by somebody. The other part of this is, what if they're looking around waiting to see who's going to need a guard here at some point and saying, hey, look, we're going to market him as a guard in the trade market. Once these top guards are off the free agent market, then we're going to go pitch Elton Jenkins, maybe for like Rashawn Gary, a 4th-round pick, and try and get a pick out of him, and waiting for the free agent guard market to kind of come close, and then try and go move Jenkins before the draft gets here.
I mean, you just have to wait for the Cowboys to call your phone again then, because I don't think any other team would really be willing to do that.
Well, remember, the Browns have no offensive linemen, but they're signing them as we go today.
Yep, they just signed Zion Johnson a little bit ago to a 3-year deal to play guard for them there. I don't know. I just feel
the
like
Giants need interior offensive linemen.
The Packers got lucky being able to trade Rashawn Gary. I think that was crazy that after all the drama last week with the quote-unquote hacker getting into his Twitter account, posting the message that was clearly made by like Rashawn Gary or somebody that was doing it for Rashawn Gary, like that wasn't a joke. It was a real post that he had in his phone somewhere in my mind. I think this is something where Elton Jenkins, you can't win this lottery twice. And a lot of people know Elton Jenkins and the Packers, this relationship is just kind of fizzling out at this point. When the Packers re-signed Sean Ryan, all the stories that were coming out from the local Packers, people were just saying that seals the fate for an Elton Jenkins. I don't know if it 100% does, but if it does, like if it is sealing the fate for an Elton Jenkins, you're not trading him in my mind. I don't think you can get the same kind of magical deal you did for Rashawn Gary.
I got some messages coming in here on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250 from the 920. Jenkins is coming off of a gruesome injury. I think teams are waiting to see when he will be 100%. I got another one here from the 715. Jenkins is getting traded. Fair enough. As far as the gruesome injury goes, Packers could have just cut him, send him to the street, use that available cap money to do something else. That's why the The fact that they haven't cut him tells me they think that they're going to be able to get some type of pick for Elgton Jenkins. Or are the Packers considering moving Elgton Jenkins as part of a package deal, maybe with a pick or two, Charlie, to go get a defensive lineman? Because they need defensive linemen. And I have been saying that Jonathan Allen, to me, is a guy that I could see making sense in Green Bay. But there's a bunch of defensive linemen that are out there that could be a Packer at some point.
I mean, all the rumors this morning were Jalen Carter, that the Packers are interested in that, and that the Eagles, I know it'd be a little hard now because they lost Jalen Phillips, their defensive end that they traded for at the deadline.
Great deal for the Panthers.
Yeah, that was awesome. I don't know why they didn't just keep Brian Burns and just keep paying Brian Burns, because they just replaced that. But I think for the Philadelphia Eagles, a guy like Elgton Jenkins is extremely just attractive to them, a team that's able to develop those offensive linemen. He's a veteran at this point. He can play multiple positions. The Eagles just salivate over players like that. And you throw in a 4th-round pick, a 3rd-round pick, both of those things, you probably need multiple picks for Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter and Micah Parsons on that defensive line, man, that's a completely different group than you had last year.
No doubt. And Trey Hendrickson, like we talked about before, still out there. Everybody assumed he would be signed to a mega deal right here on day one. Maybe he will be. Maybe there's a bidding war going on for Trey Hendrickson right now. We'll have to wait and see. Rick in New Berlin, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. What's up, Rick?
As far as trading Jenkins, I think we would have to give up a little bit more, sweeten the pot to get anything with him.
So you think it would have to be a pick with it would have to be a pick with Jenkins to get a pick back?
Well, I think we'd have to sweeten the pot to get rid of him for anybody to take him, because I don't think he's that good of a center. I don't think he's as good as Sean Ryan's. How come the offense started clicking when Sean Ryan's was in there? And when Jenkins was in there, they were getting killed.
Yep.
Because he's a turnstile at the center. Now, maybe left tackle or somewhere else. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But not center.
Well, again, that was an experiment the Packers decided to do. That wasn't his call. I promise you. Thanks for the call. I guarantee you, Elgton Jenkins is like, hey, dude, I'll play center. Like, hell no, I'm not playing center. But how much are you paying me? All right, I'll go play center. Yeah. But he didn't want to go play center either, if you remember, because that would affect what his new deal is going to be coming off of last year. He's got 1 year left. So if he plays that center position one more year, now the market just changed because of the Linderbaum deal at $27 million a year. But with his cap number of $24 million, there was nowhere. He was by far the highest paid center on the market coming into this year if he stays at the center position.
But that's a big if now.
Yeah, we don't know. You're right.
Again, they haven't really answered any questions on this offensive line by doing the things that they've done. Yes, you've solidified the group for a few more years, maybe, but at the same time, you still have the same questions about where these guys are going to be on day one.
On X at WI Sports Radio, tweet comes in from Jason, who says the Packers are doing the same thing with Jenkins like they did with Jair last year. Held on to him till mandatory minicamp, waiting for a potential trade. It's as simple as that. As I said last year when it was happening, that's as classless crap as you possibly can do. That was just complete classless. That was classless by the Packers. They knew they weren't keeping him. They knew they were going to move on from him. And instead of letting him go find a deal in free agency, they held him hostage essentially until the whole thing was said and done. Then by that point, there was literally nothing out there and he was going to have peanuts available to him. Now, I get why you may have been mad with how Jair acted in Green Bay and all this other stuff. That's fine. But I don't see any reason to be mad at Elgton Jenkins to pull that same nonsense on him, Charlie.
No, and I think
to wait 2 or 3 days and then let him go, okay, that's one thing. To wait to June, that's completely another.
Well, and I think Jair Alexander at that point, a lot of people knew he just didn't have any value. I think there is people that believe Elgton Jenkins still has value for this team. It's not the same as Jair. It hasn't been 3 straight seasons of injuries and disappointment. It's been 1 season of injury and disappointment. He's going to have another shot here. Yeah, his value may not be as high as maybe the Packers liked, and that's why they're waiting here at this point. But I think there is some value there, especially to some of these teams that are going to be needy.
He is Charlie Usen. I'm Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Thanks for tuning in today. Coming up next, you'll hear from Bobby Portis. Just a quick detour onto the Bucs. Right back to the Packers at 3 o'clock with Ryan Wood, Packers beat writer for the Green Bay Press Gazette and Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, award-winning, I should point out. That comes up at 3 o'clock. But Bobby Portis was on the Running Back Show earlier today with Boogie Cousins and all those guys, and had some interesting things to say about Doc's potential retirement. I'm kind of surprised quite a bit by what he said about that. So stay tuned for that. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Fiver with you. Charlie Using, other side of the glass. Ryan Wood comes up at 3 o'clock. We'll talk with him about all the Packers moves that they've made. Not really today. Kennard is a report for the Pat McAfee Show back 1 year under $4 million as a swing tackle. So that's fine. That doesn't hurt anybody one way or the other. Just a nice depth piece, I guess you can have. So all good there. Other than that, nothing else big coming from that perspective. Now, where to start first? Let's first start with Bobby Portis talking about why the team has struggled, even though Giannis is back. This is from the Run It Back show.
I would just say chemistry and camaraderie. Obviously, some of our guys on our team really haven't had a, extended play to play with big fella, to play with 3-4. Obviously, he had about 3 or 4 injuries this year. That kind of stopped him from, keeping a good rhythm. Obviously, basketball is a rhythm game. Like, what I'm saying? Y'all guys know, once you get in a good rhythm and, once you have an injury, you have to come back and, the team might be playing good, or you have to, obviously with a player like Giannis, he's going to be who he is. So guys around him have to have to play around him, have to play off him and things like that. And we just haven't had that, haven't had enough time to, make that happen.
Okay, so I think I brought this up last week on Friday. Giannis comes back, and all of a sudden, Jang ends up into the starting lineup with Giannis. And they bring up on the TV broadcast on FanDuel that him and Giannis were together on the same 3-on-3 teams as they were trying to get Giannis worked up to getting back and playing back with everybody. So from a chemistry standpoint and so forth, I'm sure Bobby Portis is right to a certain degree. Remember, too, Kevin Porter Jr. has been out and is out again with injury. So Porter Jr.'s missed a chunk of the season. Giannis has missed multiple chunks of the season. And that's going to lead to issues. Now, you've seen AJ Green now essentially lose his gig and end up on the bench. Now, the first game over the weekend, they just went big. And they just said, we're starting a bunch of bigs with Rollins at point guard, and we're going to play long and big, and they got the win. Then last night, no Giannis, and they get absolutely destroyed by Orlando last night. No Kuzma either, I don't believe. And they get absolutely destroyed by the Magic last night, which, again, nobody should be surprised by that. Nobody should have thought they were going to beat Orlando without Giannis. So that wasn't necessarily all that shocking. Time's running out here. I mean, if they're going to get in the play-in tournament, and I would say right now, if I was betting money, there's no chance they're getting in the play-in tournament. I have absolutely zero faith they're going to make the play-in tournament.
It's just so frustrating. Again, all the things that you saw when Giannis was out for that 2-week stretch after the trade deadline, this team being aggressive on the rebounds, this team going out there and just playing a quick style of offense and letting these guys ISO up because you have 4 guys on your team at least that can play that ISO style basketball. And it just all went away because Giannis came back. Now guys don't know how to rebound. Now these guys don't know how to move the ball well enough. It's just so strange how quickly those types of things disappear. And you can see there's certain players who are bought into that mentality from post-trade deadline. Again, Jericho Sims has continued to look like the guy that he was after that
last
trade
night
deadline.
again.
Like he hasn't gotten rid of that motor for some reason. But then you see guys like Miles Turner just fall off a cliff for no reason just because Giannis is back in the game. But then Miles Turner wants to go on social media and be like, I'm top Bucks guy and everything. It does not look like that on the court, dude. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. He looks just completely disengaged every time he steps on the court, but then pretends like it's all okay every other time. It's crazy.
Yep.
That's got to be tiring you out with that mental gymnastics going back and forth like that, man. Just go out there and play basketball, play comfortable. I don't care if Giannis is back. That's what Giannis wants from you guys, is to go out there and just be yourselves instead of pretending like he's the main star all the time. Try to make a name for yourself too. That's what he wants.
Again, it was very predictable when he came back that this was going to be a situation. Bobby Portis, our running back, asked about his confidence level that Giannis potentially comes back next year.
I'm at a 5, bro. I'm right there in the middle, man.
Answer.
For real, it's up in the air, man. Obviously just being here and obviously our goal just isn't to make the play-in, right? The goal isn't to just make the playoffs. Like, since I've been here since 2020 during the pandemic, the goal has always been championship. So I don't know what that outlook is for next year. I don't know what John and, his staff is going to, put together to, make the roster better, make us better, so we can, compete for championships next year. I don't know that. But, if you ask me that question, I would say it's right there in the middle. Obviously, when the season's over, if you're a basketball fan and you know what's going to go on, since I've been here since 2020, like I said, each and every summer, once our team is eliminated or whatever, the conversation is going to get brought up again, and it's going to be a super lingering thing all summer long, especially leading up into the draft. So I guess we'll have to see, man. But I think it's right there at that 5, 6, 7 mark.
5, 6, 7. So he moved all the way up from 5 at the start, all the way up to 7 by the end of that interview.
I just feel like, again, Bobby Portis, the way he answered that question, a lot of people have been kind of like freaking out about it. Oh, 5's not high enough to keep Giannis around. That's how this team needs to be talking about this. Again, Bobby Portis, along with Jericho Sims, has been one of those guys that has just kind of played his game ever since all this started. And we get frustrated with Bobby for that sometimes, but it's worked well for him. He's been able to just keep this cool mindset. And an answer like that is in that same vein of the way he's playing on the court. He's saying, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I just want to play basketball. And if Giannis wants to be here, I'm happy with that. If he doesn't, fine. That's his choice. But I want to play basketball.
Well, running back was very happy with a 5 answer because that gets them a lot of traction. Here is Bobby Portis, and this is the one that got Bucks fans mad. Bobby Portis being asked about, hey, man, there's rumblings out there from Stephen A. talking about Doc's going to retire after this year. What say you?
Do you get paid if you retire? Like, if you got one more year on your contract, do you get paid?
Nah, that ain't how that work.
Mm-mm.
That ain't how it work, man.
Nah,
Get fired, though.
Nah, I don't think Doc walking away from that 15, 16 M. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of bread to just walk away from. Say you don't want it? Like, yo, you don't want it at all? Like, let's just be for real. That's a lot of bread, man. He's making about 15, 16 a year. So, nah, man, I think that's cap, man. I think that's cap.
All right, so he ain't buying it. He is not buying that Doc Rivers is going anywhere. He thinks Doc Rivers is back next year because he's not walking away from the money, Charlie.
Got a good point. I mean, that is a lot of money to walk away from, and you only got one more year. Might as well wait it out.
Yes, there's a ton of money to walk away from. If Giannis is gone and this is a complete rebuild, there's no way he's coming back to coach a rebuild.
That's the other thing, though. He can just say, it's the Bucks' decision. I'm not going to be the bad guy. I'm not going to walk away when we're in a sinking ship.
Yeah, you could force him to
I'll go down with the ship, but they can throw me off the boat if they want.
But I'm not walking away, right? Yeah, he could force their hand. Ryan Wood of the Green Bay Press-Gazette and Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Packers beat writer, joins us coming up next. He'll give us his thoughts on all the Packers transactions that have occurred to this point that we talked about in the 2 o'clock segment. That's straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Time for your fan weather forecast brought to you by Integrity Exteriors. Right now, 70 degrees and sunny out in Milwaukee. How cool is that? Low tonight of, get this, 37 degrees. Yikes.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Charlie Houston producing. Still to come. We'll talk about the crew like we always do. Normally we do it at this time. We have Ryan Wood coming up momentarily. So we'll talk about the crew coming up here in the next segment. Charlie Sounds of the Day coming up at 3:40. Dusty Evely, film analyst from Acme Pack Company and the Pack a Day podcast, join us at 4 o'clock. That's going to be more about Zaire Franklin, as he was covering the Colts for a couple of years there up until last year, and he was going through and watching some film of Franklin from this last year last night. So we'll talk to Dusty Evely about that coming up at 4 o'clock. Things that we missed on today's show, aplenty, so stay tuned for that one as well. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law, one call, that's all. The award-winning one, Ryan Wood of the Green Bay Press Gazette, and of course the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. What's going on, Ryan Wood?
I am doing lovely. Happy hurry up and wait day to you. Is there a dumber term in all the NFL than legal tampering?
No.
It's like we've been doing this since the combine. What, you're just going to allow it? And it's like someone that jaywalks all the time. Now you can do it legally. You're just doing the same thing. Now we're going to allow you, but you've already been doing it. It's hurry up and wait day. So I hope your hurry up and wait day is going well, Sparky.
Yeah, it's going fine. And they allow now, what do they allow? 1 hour video conferences now with, 5 or 6 potential guys today, which they have not done in the past?
Which is a good move. I mean, it never made sense to, hey, make the biggest decision of your entire career without talking to anybody that you might be working with. That never made sense. So that's a good move, but legal tamper, let's not pretend. There's a reason why you've seen this incredible flurry of deals today. It's because they've been working on it for 2 straight weeks already. That's the reason.
I'm going to start with what we talked about in the second segment of the show. Before we get to all the moves that have been made, I'd like to get to the move that I have not seen anything made of yet, and that is Elton Jenkins is still sitting on this Packers roster.
Yeah, because if they get a 4th-round pick for him from, maybe not the Dallas Cowboys since they got theirs from Rashawn Gary, you might as well. There's no reason to release him yet. That doesn't mean that he won't be released if there's no dance partner in a trade, but there's still time. Give it time, Sparky.
All right. Just thought it was interesting. Also, Ryan Wood, let's talk about some of the moves that were made. First off, the Zaire Franklin move is the one that everybody is talking about and mad about, apparently. Zaire Franklin for Colby Wooden. There's no guaranteed money attached to Zaire Franklin, so they can cut and move on when they would like there without any future implications. Your thoughts on that deal?
Wait, why people are mad about this?
People are not happy because, you go and you look at the numbers, and he did not have a good year last year. If you go and look at his numbers in his career, he's not been good against the pass. And then if you bring up, he's a Pro Bowler in 24, he was a second-team All-Pro in 24. People don't want to talk about that. That's too long ago. We only care about what happened last year with a different coordinator.
There's reasons. there's reasons to doubt, or I guess I don't get angry about much, but there's reasons if you're a fan to be angry. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page, because when I heard that, I thought people might be doubting that, to get rid of Colby Wooden. But what the Packers essentially did this weekend going into free agency was rearrange the furniture on the roster. They narrowed their focus as far as addressing needs. And I do think, look, Zaire Franklin's lack of pass coverage, I don't know how that's much different than Quay Walker's lack of pass coverage. And that was a massive issue, not just last year, but really throughout Quay Walker's entire time. You cannot hide a mic in pass coverage. So to me, that screams that they're planning on Edgerrin Cooper being the primary pass coverage linebacker.
Yep.
Maybe at times the one linebacker on the field, which is something that they have not wanted to do the last 2 years. Because if they did, they absolutely would not have left Quay Walker in that role. So that'll be interesting. Edgerrin Cooper has the physical traits to hold up in coverage. He was fine when he was given that role last year. It's just Quay Walker was the leader of that defense, and he was the pass covering linebacker. I think that'll be an interesting transition. As far as losing Colby Wooden, which does enhance the need at defensive tackle. For the last couple of weeks, everyone's talking about, they need nose tackles. They need nose tackles. Colby Wooden doesn't profile on tape the measurements as a nose tackle. In game film, he was the nose tackle. He was the run defense specialist. So what they really have needed at defensive tackle was that second all-down interior guy that you can pair with Devontae Wyatt, what they had when they had Wyatt and Kenny Clark together. They didn't have that. They lost that when they traded Kenny Clark for Micah Parsons. Now they need that, and they do also now need a nose tackle. You're going to see Brian Gutekunst just load up at defensive line. You're going to see him load up at corner. Those are the two obvious needs on this roster, especially re-signing Sean Ryan to play center. It's a rearranging of the furniture. They're going to go after those two spots now.
Talking with Ryan Wood, Packers beat writer of the Green Bay Press-Gazette. Follow him on X at @ByRyanWood. He joins us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Let's talk about the other deal. This one happened earlier today. Rashawn Gary to the Cowboys for a 4th-round pick. And if you put two trades together, all of a sudden it's Micah Parsons and a 4 for Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, and 2 1s. Outside looking in, that doesn't look great for the Packers.
Yeah, it does. Micah Parsons is a different creature on this planet than anything that you just mentioned there. You got Micah Parsons. Now, the thing that doesn't look great, and there's no crystal ball here, is the torn ACL. Okay, well, if Brian Gutekunst had known Micah Parsons was going to tear his ACL week 15 against Denver, obviously that would have had a significant impact on the decision-making there. There's no ability to read in the future. As far as what they have in Micah Parsons, that laps the field on everything else you just mentioned. Micah Parsons is a different dude. I do expect him to return healthy, and I'm of a mind that so long that Micah Parsons returns and is who he's always been, that really mitigates your need at edge rush. Because any edge rush that has Micah Parsons headlining it is going to get constant edge rush pressure. That's the reality of having Micah Parsons. So that's where they're at. I mean, the need's more on the interior. For the Packers, you can get a 4th-round pick for a guy that you're going to release, save $11 million against the cap. It just makes sense.
Let's talk about another player, Sean Ryan, your guy. Nobody loves Sean Ryan more than Ryan Wood. I know that. You have got to be
a good swear word, man. All right.
Yeah, you have got
colorful language.
Yeah, you have got to be ecstatic that Sean Ryan is back. And when that deal came out, I was like, man, that seems a little expensive to me. Then I saw the Linderbaum deal for the Ravens today at $27 million on average. I went, no, I'm good with Sean Ryan deal. That's fine. I'm good with it. Never mind. Yep.
I almost knocked over unconscious when I saw the Linderbaum deal for a center.
Crazy.
That makes it hard for me to breathe. Like, that's high altitude there. Yes, Sean Ryan. I thought he was the guy from that very chock full 2022 draft class entering free agency now that made the most sense. He was a fine bit of a revelation at center last year once he took over for Elton Jenkins. He's not a great pass protector, but if you have a guy who's a mauler in the run game that can do the quarterbacking, the communication aspect of the offensive line required at center, and is not a good pass protector, that's where you put him. You're flanked by guards. You're protected in pass rush. That's a good spot for Sean Ryan. I think it does solidify the middle of that offensive line. It's not to say that day 3, if they like a center prospect, they're not going to go and draft some depth there. They absolutely could. But it's much less of a need, and it allows you to hammer home on the 2 spots you've got to hammer home with even more. And that's, of course, corner and defensive tackle.
The other move that people obviously are going to talk about is the Aaron Banks restructure. Them getting Aaron Banks to restructure his deal frees up some cap room this year, but pretty much solidifies him this year and next year as a Packer.
I mean, you might as well, since you don't have a time machine and you can't go back and just keep Elton Jenkins at left guard and never sign Aaron Banks. You've got to make the most of what you can do right now. So that's what the offensive line next year is going to be. Jordan Morgan at left tackle, Aaron Banks at left guard, Sean Ryan at center, Anthony Belton at right guard, Zach Tom at right tackle. There is plenty to like there, and there is plenty to be very, very concerned about. The best part of that is that you are dealing with a fair amount of youth. Certainly, I'm thinking Jordan Morgan being an upgrade potentially at left tackle, which is the most important spot. Anthony Belton getting a second season to really develop it. He's got all the tools to be a terrific right guard. Center, Sean Ryan, you give him a full off season. He's the guy now. Maybe he can build on the second half of last season because they really found something in the run game once he moved to center.
Yep.
There's reason to believe that there's developmental upside there. And then what if Zach Tom doesn't return to full form from the injury? What if Aaron Banks is what he was in 2025? They have the same offensive line coach. There's real concern there too. So we'll see how that plays out. I can see it going either way.
The other one that I want to get your feel on here is defensive line. Don't they have to make a move or two on the defensive line in free agency? I can't imagine they can rely completely on this draft class to fill that defensive line role without using free agency.
2 defensive tackles. That's what they need, and they're very different. Again, they need that second all-down defensive tackle who is a starter, who can line up and stop the run on early downs, who can pair up with Devontae Wyatt and nickel on third downs. You don't have to take him off the field. That's what they had. That's what they lost with Kenny Clark in that trade. They had that with Kenny Clark and Devontae Wyatt. They lost that when they traded Kenny Clark to the Cowboys. What they also need is a nose tackle now. They need that run defense specialist, that early down guy, big body that plays big, eats up blocks, because they had not necessarily the big body, but on film, you watched the way Colby Wooden played the position. He played like a nose tackle. He was an early down run specialist who was not going to give you any pass rush, but absolutely played the run like a grown man. And they don't have him now. So they need to add depth at nose tackle. This is a terrific draft, very deep draft for nose tackles. They can reach into there at that position and fill it that way. But it's 2 defensive tackles. And again, Micah Parsons being on your edge rush means you're going to get edge rush pressure. Not saying you don't want to help your best player. If there's good value there for an edge rusher, by all means, you add there. But I think that's something less of the mandate that it is at other spots on this roster.
Easton Butler, who we've had on previously, just tweeted out 2 minutes ago, Packers have released Elton Jenkins. So we'll see if that is true. So we got the Elton Jenkins in topic before it happened, Ryan. We were ahead of the curve.
I just said, give it time.
Yeah.
Give it time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean – here's the thing that people forget all the time, and I say this every year. Twitter – or the app formerly
X,
known as
whatever
Twitter, X,
it
is a linear chronology. You see things as they are posted to the app. That is in no way how free agency actually works. Free agency is not linear. Free agency is multitasking. You have many different things all happening at once, and just because we haven't seen something yet doesn't mean it's not happening. You just have to keep that in mind.
Do you think there is a chance? Because one of the names that's out there is obviously Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. Both of those guys potentially would make sense for the Green Bay Packers, especially Hargrave, who obviously played for Gannon in Philly.
Yeah, if they wanted to make a big swing at defensive tackle, in free agency. The guy that was on my mind who is no longer available was John Franklin Myers at Denver. Obviously, he's off the board to the Tennessee Titans now,
for a
so
ton
that's
of
not
money.
going to happen.
Right, for a ton.
A ton of money. That's, like I said, quote, big swing.
Yep.
That was the big swing play. That's not happening. But there's still some options for sure. And to me, defensive tackle is a position when you were a team like the Packers, where 2026 is by definition purely a Super Bowl or bust year. I just don't think you can accomplish that all in the draft. Because, Sparky, who are the two best defensive tackles the Packers have fielded in the last 10 years?
Who?
It's Kenny Clark and Devontae Wyatt.
Sure.
What did they do as rookies? Darn near nothing. That's the nature of the position in this league. It is about as hard of a position in this league to transition from college ball to the NFL. It almost always takes a year, at minimum. You really want to add to that position, which is dire right now in terms of need, through the draft. You're not getting the impacts you need if you don't dig into free agency somewhat. I don't see how you can avoid it. So a Calais Campbell, can someone like that, a Javon Hargrave, guys that have experience with Jonathan Gannon. That's not the big swing necessarily, but it does address the position. And then you can also add depth through the draft. To me, defensive tackle is a multifaceted approach.
Jordan Schultz and Adam Schefter now also reporting that Elton Jenkins is going to be gone. So there you go on Jenkins. Ryan Wood, thanks so much for coming on, my friend. Appreciate it. And do you have like a room for all the awards that you win, or how does that work?
Would you think less of me if I told you I actually do?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think
on my
less.
office wall.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yes, I have a couple plaques on the office wall. I've been very blessed.
And going back to very rarely, do you really get upset? Well, I'm here to tell you, when the Mets aren't doing well, he gets upset. Ryan, thank you so much.
That's true, but that's also why you and I get along so well, because I'm always, I always check in with you. How's the temperature? Do you need more Christmas trees?
Mhm.
How are you doing? So,
Bought
it's a good mix.
got a bigger storage units. Now we have room for 2 or 3 more at least. So maybe more.
Oh, God help you.
Yes, well, here we go. Ryan, thank you so much.
Take care.
There he is, Ryan Wood, our guy, Packers beat writer for the Green Bay Press Gazette and the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Follow him on X at @ByRyanWood, joining us on the guest hotline. Powered by Gruber Law, one call, that's all. So Elton Jenkins out there. Nicely done by Easton Butler. He had it by 7 minutes more than everybody
And
else
then
did.
the Schefter report came in 4 minutes ago. So, yeah, he had it 3 minutes before Schefter.
Yeah.
Good
So
work.
again, nicely done. Easton Butler. That's why we have him on the show. He knows his stuff. So nicely done there. So they save about $20 million in cap room from that deal. Okay. So where are they going to use the money? Are they going to use the money to extend Tucker Kraft? Did you see the Packers put up a video earlier today on social media? So it was a person from the Packers running routes, doing whatever else, but it was like all yellow or whatever. And then eventually it's Tucker Kraft at the end of the video. When I saw that, I was like, ooh, maybe we're going to announce an extension for Tucker Kraft here today and get him under contract going forward. Charlie and I were talking about this earlier. You know who the happiest person probably on planet Earth is right now? Daniel Whelan, punter, who's been on this show. The punter contracts are out of this world nuts at this point. I mean, Linderbaum is still by far the most craziest contract of the day, but some of these punter contracts are getting nuts. And Daniel Whelan is an absolute beast. And if you're Gutekunst, you better start figuring out how you're going to keep him, because you don't want to be having to look for a place kicker and a punter at this point. McManus is still under contract as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have not released McManus yet either. That's another one Packer fans thought they were going to be done with.
Yeah, some of these punter contracts, $14 million value for Ryan Wright to the Saints, $8 million guaranteed. Jordan Stout got $12.3 million from the Giants. Jake Bailey got $9 million from the Falcons and $5 million guaranteed. Oh, you got to be rubbing your hands together, excited for that, because even if he doesn't go to the Packers, he's going somewhere and getting paid.
He's getting at least 10.
Uh-huh.
He's getting at least 10. Here's some other breaking news. Remember how we've talked about gambling and so forth? MLS, that's the professional men's soccer league, announced lifetime bans for former players Derek Jones and Yabawa for betting on league matches. An investigation found that the players engaged in extensive gambling on soccer, including on their own teams during the 24 and 25 seasons.
Well, good that they're taking action on that.
We've now reached soccer.
I want to know how big of stars those guys are in the MLS. I'm not too familiar with MLS.
I have
So
no idea.
I want to know if they're Jonte Porters. Are they Terry Roziers? Because Terry Rozier doesn't have a lifetime ban yet from the NBA, but Jonte Porter got one pretty fast from the NBA. Are these guys at the top of the game? And is this something that's that big of a deal? I don't know. I think that changes the perception of what a move like this does for one of these professional leagues.
And that's, well, I just don't know how you're going to stop it or fix it. I mean, that's my thing. I don't know how you stop and fix it, because what I want to know is, okay, are you betting on just the team, or are these player prop bets, or what exactly is going on here? Because the way they make it sound, the Athletic post that I'm looking at makes it sound like they bet on their teams to either win or lose. Now, which way they went, I'd have to read the article. It just got posted a little while ago, but something interesting. Also, one other note that I wanted to point out too that came out in the last half hour or so. J.R. Blunt, who is from the Milwaukee area and so forth, just got named the new head coach at San Diego, basketball coach at San Diego. So congratulations to J.R. Blunt in order there. Coming up next, let's talk about the Crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. That Potawatomi Sportsbook telling you 2 levels. You can rent that second level out through Potawatomi for business luncheons or stuff like that during the week, always available for you. Sometimes they open it up. I'm sure they'll probably have it open up for the tournament, would be my guess. That first level, all kinds of different options. Got the high flat top tables with seating, got gigantic booths that seat like 8 people. Got individual, like they look like recliners in the first couple of rows there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Got that big bar area right there behind the Sportsbook as well. Absolutely gorgeous. Plus, you have a full menu at the Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen available to you. Homemade desserts and pastries, all-day brunch, you name it, they have it. Delicious food there. And then let's also talk about the idea of a 2,000 square foot screen that can show up to 30 matches at one time. Plus, they have the UFC fight nights like they did over the weekend, this last weekend. That's where you're going to want to be. It's the best viewing spot you're going to find in the state of Wisconsin. I promise you, there's nothing better. And I argue it's the best sports book in the Midwest. Reserve your seats ahead of time. Go sort your food and beverage costs, but highly, highly recommend. Go to Potawatomi.com. Again, that's Potawatomi.com. You have to be 21 or older to enter the casino.
Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky, Pfeiffer, Charlie using other side of the glass. Charlie, sounds of the day comes up here at 3:40. I'm not was able to look at X during the commercial break, so I don't know if the Packers signed anybody or not since I was in the commercial break. I was on the phone the entire time. But this is fun, I guess you could say, as an NFL fan. You don't get this in other sports necessarily. I guess you do get a big free agent build up with the NBA. There's quite a bit there. A Major League Baseball team tends to be more of a really slow play over the course of months that you see guys sign, where the NFL and the NBA, it really gets going quickly.
It does. But I think with the MLB, the benefit it has is that when there are big stars in that free agent market, I think that hangs in the air a lot more than in the NFL. We've talked about it. Trey Hendrickson is an amazing player. If he continues at the rate that he's playing at for another 4 or 5 seasons, he's going to be a Hall of Fame type of player. I mean, and nobody's talking about that type of free agency. Nobody's really freaking out about the fact that he's not signed yet. There's players in the MLB who aren't stars, but people still are worried about why they're not signed, why they're not at this point, why they're not on a team. I think just the buzz around the MLB free agency hits for longer, and that's why sometimes it takes longer.
Right. Compensation picks just came out for this year's draft. The Packers get a 7th round pick, and that is all, folks. Now, having said that, if we go back and we look at the compensation picks of what could be for next year's draft is going to be something for the Green Bay Packers, providing they don't trade some of these picks between now and then. Now, again, you don't really know what the compensation picks are going to be until after these guys play throughout the year. Some of it's determined on contract value. Another part of it is obviously determined on how they play throughout the course of the upcoming season. But they are going to have a ton of draft picks. Andy Herman put this out earlier. Packers' possible 2027 draft picks. They'll have their 2nd round pick, a 3rd round pick. They could potentially have 2 comp picks in the 3rd round, 4th round pick from the Cowboys in the Rashawn Gary deal, their own 4th round pick, potentially 2 more 4th round picks in compensation, a 5th and a 7th. Now, they don't have a 6th due to the Kennard trade, and they just brought him back on a 1-year deal. And they don't have a 1st due to the Micah trade. But if you look at that, 3 3s, 4 4s, a 2 5, and a 7, that is a lot of weaponry that you can use in that draft next season. And they're going to have some cap room to work with, too.
For sure. And I think this year's draft, it's not as exciting of a class, especially for a team like the Packers, who just aren't needy in some of the positions that are a little stronger in this group. Next year's draft should be very quarterback heavy, which means a lot of teams are going to be wanting to trade up into some of these 2nd day rounds because there's going to be guys that are going to drop because there's just 3 or 4 other guys ahead of them. I think you're going to have a lot of trade bait for next year's draft, and that can start right away after this year's draft.
It's time to talk about the crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Okay, so for this one here today, Tim Allen, Tommy Wirtz, they're back from Brewers spring training, so no interviews to play for you, anything like that. They did a great week of shows, spring training live. If you missed any of it, go find it. Best Brewers coverage right there at wisportsradio.com, or wherever you download your favorite podcast at. Again, real easy to find. Lots and lots of great interviews and content and funny stories. Charlie, you were there most of the week. Very entertaining.
It was awesome. Again, hearing these guys, sometimes we should have like an extra podcast. Maybe we do like the Patreon stuff people can pay for just to hear what like Tim is saying off air, because he is one of the funniest guys on the face of the earth. Just so fast. And then Tommy is a comedian in his own right. So they're just going back and forth sharing quips. All I can do is just sit back here and laugh. Yes. It was awesome.
I'm telling y'all, Potawatomi Sportsbook baseball postgame show coming up this year after games with Tim and Tommy. It's going to be must listen to radio. Just telling you right now, must listen to radio. Plus, you have Tommy doing the leadoff show before every game as well, getting you ready for the game, getting you ready with what's going on in the minors that day from the previous night, hearing from Pat Murphy and all this other stuff. Like, it's going to be must listen to radio here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Okay, I wanted to take some time here before we get to Charlie Sounds of the Day and then all kinds of more Packer stuff coming up in the 4 o'clock hour
to go over some of the World Baseball Classic stuff that's been going on with the Brewers and how some of these Brewer players have doing. Bryce Terang last game didn't get in there. They started Ernie Clement. Coming up in tonight's game against Mexico, Bryce Terang back in the lineup. That game on Fox 6 tonight, or Fox 6 in Milwaukee, Fox across the rest of the state, whatever your Fox affiliate is. So Bryce Terang, I didn't know how much he was going to play. I was a little bit concerned, but clearly he's their A guy at second base and played like it against Brazil, courtesy of FS1.
During the last inning break.
Terang, opposite field, that's got a chance. It's off the wall. This guy has just exploded into the scene.
He has exploded into the scene. Did you see my guy, Nestor Cortez, took to social media after that game talking about this dude is a stud and don't anybody even try to talk to me about it, him not being a stud.
Maybe that's a clue that he's coming back to the Brewers. You know, he's hyping up Bryce Terang, right?
I don't know, but I love the guy was barely there. He was barely
give him
there.
another shot, right?
And he's all on board. Like, yeah, why not? Bryce Terang comes up with the bases loaded in his second advance against Brazil.
Fly ball left field. The sky misjudges it, and it takes a weird bounce off of the fence, and 3 runs are going to be chased home.
Bases clearing double by Bryce Terang there as well. That game gets done, and he talked to John Morosi.
Bryce, 2 doubles tonight. Some great swings from you. What are you going to cherish the most about your WBC day? Bryce, 2 doubles tonight. Some great swings from you. What are you going to cherish the most about your WBC debut?
Man, it's really cool. I'm happy with the win. We got the win. So awesome being around these guys. Just the knowledge they have in the game and how much they care about winning and making everybody better is just so cool. I'm very blessed to be in this situation, and it's a great experience. I mean, this is it's a dream for sure.
After the final out, I saw you shared a moment with Bobby Witt Jr. behind second base. You guys go back a long way, wearing this uniform before at the youth level. What has it meant to share this experience with him?
Yeah, it means a lot, man. From being 15, 16 years old, playing up the middle together to now doing it here, it's really cool. I mean, words can't describe how cool it is to be in this situation. And Bobby's a great player, great dude, and great teammate. And yeah, it's great. It's been really fun.
You're from a great family in Corona, California, Bryce. Your parents, Brian and Carrie, both great athletes themselves. 4 sisters, all great athletes too. How have each of them helped you get to this point?
Yeah, I wouldn't be here standing here talking today if it wasn't for them. What they've done in my life has changed my life drastically, and it's I mean, my parents, my sisters, my brother-in-laws, all that, top to bottom, just great human beings, and it's great to hang out with them and see them, and some of them are here actually tonight, so I'm excited to see them.
And finally, Bryce, the text that I'm sure you'll have from Pat Murphy tonight after this win for Team USA, what is it going to say?
Lock it in for tomorrow. Yeah, he's like, today's over, done with. You move on, you play and win tomorrow. So, yeah, that's great.
They are not going to be able to afford this dude. I mean, they're just not. Because if Terang gets to the point, highlight courtesy of FS1, Morosi interviewing Bryce Terang after the World Baseball Classic game, USA and Brazil, they're not going to be able to afford him, only from the aspect of between his defense. And if he gets to 25 to 30 homers a year between now and then, there's no chance that can be able to re-sign him. By the way, Adam Schefter, plans to sign a 1-year deal with the Falcons.
Okay. The Falcons are so dumb, man.
Well, I mean, it's smart from the aspect of Penix is left-handed. So, because again, catching the ball from a left-handed quarterback versus right is completely different.
Too bad neither one of them can stay on the field for extended periods of time. Right. That's the problem, is that you're just adding another injury-prone dude to the quarterback room that already has one injury-prone dude.
Yep, I agree. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
So Bryce Terang, what's even crazier too is that he had 2 stolen bases in this game, as well as the only appearance he's had officially in the World Baseball Classic. I mean, he is just a stud, and I can only see him taking another step this year with the Milwaukee Brewers, especially since there's even less talent around him, or even more unknown talent around him, I guess. And I think that's something that's going to make him shine even more. I can see him completely building on that second half of the season last year and turning it into what a lot of people are saying could be like a top 10 MVP type season if he can keep that up.
Correct. Another guy that has been playing in the World Baseball Classic, a starter for the Milwaukee Brewers, their shortstop, Joey Ortiz.
That followed. Ford rolls it up the middle. He's got good wheels. Heck of a play at short. Ortiz.
Mexico starting to display some leather. This game was kind of in balance. That big home run from Aranda. What a terrific play by Ortiz. This ball ticketed for center field. You see he cuts it off, slides, and throws a strike to Aranda at first.
I like courtesy of FS1. You like the beard? You a fan of the beard?
I think it's fun. I've always had kind of like the scraggly beard look too. So I think it's cool. It's just like he just doesn't care anymore, man. He's ready to play baseball. That's what's on his mind.
Well, he pretty much said he cares until it doesn't go right, and then he's going to shave it. That's
what all these guys
superstitious.
Every baseball player is just so superstitious.
No doubt. That was against Great Britain. His bat came alive in that one too.
Favorites to advance in this pool, but it's gotten out of hand late, and Ortiz knocks it into the corner. Thomas around third on his way home. Chisholm's throw, not in time. 7-1 Mexico.
Yep. You'll see Joey Ortiz tonight against Bryce Terang. Again, USA and Mexico tonight on Fox. Looking forward to that one. And then, of course, the one that we're all talking about is this one right here, because this dude hit one out in spring training for the Brewers before he left for the World Baseball Classic. Then he put on a jersey for Italy, and funny enough, Great Britain again on the receiving end of this one.
As the right field hit pretty well. Thompson again. Not going to get this one. It's gone. Well, now you see why he changed schools 3 times that plays, Rich.
Andrew Fisher was an absolute bomb when he hit it. Still wearing the face paint or whatever you want to call that under his eyes, even playing for Italy. And just emotions running rampant, him yelling and screaming and carrying on around the bases, pretty much took out half of his team running through the dugout afterwards. Did you see that? I mean, it was a hell of a hit.
It was awesome. I love the espresso celebration that they do. That's what he was running for, was to get the espresso shot.
Because he needed more, clearly.
Exactly.
My God.
He's just so energetic. You've seen this moment again now on a bigger stage. I mean, man, he looks like he's going to be an option. I wouldn't be surprised if it was an option this season for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, I was having that conversation with a friend of mine as far as what are the chances he gets called up. I just think it's a long shot for him to get called up at this point, only because he literally just showed up last year. It's not like he's been in the minors for 3 years and he's 26.
Again, he has that college experience, which kind of is in place of those extra years in the minors. You've seen a lot of these college guys, especially first-round picks, be brought up right away by their respective teams, and it's worked out all right. I know, like, Nolan Shanuel in Los Angeles hasn't been the greatest since he got called up early, but then you look at Pittsburgh and say, Paul Skeens got called up early right away, and look at what he's doing. I think there's 2 ends of the spectrum here. I'm leaning more towards Andrew Fisher as a star, and he looks like it so far.
He does look like a star. Now, defensively, where does he play? That we have to wait.
If Joey Ortiz is going to play defense like he did in that game against Great Britain, I mean, that covers up a lot on that left side of the infield, and I think that he can get masked by the rest of the good defense around him, and he can just learn to get better at that spot.
All right, take a quick timeout and come back on the other side. And we got to get to Charlie's Sounds of the Day. What will they be today? We'll find out coming up straight ahead. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, plead the 5th every Friday at 4:20 here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Your opportunity to tell somebody to be quiet. Shh, you're talking too much, right? Talking too much. I really am surprised nobody's told me to plead the 5th for the most part during this whole thing. I thought they'd nominate me every week for this segment, but it hasn't happened. But you can nominate people on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. You can nominate callers that call in to the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. You can nominate athletes, reporters, TV people on TV that you see. Anybody is open game on Plead the 5th Friday, brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. Now, why them? Well, they've been in business since 1930. These are people that you can go to and you can trust. 13 locations across the state. If you're listening to the game in Wausau, they got you. They're there. How about WNFL, Green Bay, Appleton? They got you. They're there too. All over southeastern Wisconsin, including in Madison and Sheboygan and all over the place. Again, 13 locations. To find out which location is closest to you, it's simply Habish.com. Habish helps guide people through complex situations with clarity and experience. Remember, experience matters when the stakes are high, and they treat your case as the most important case because it's the most important to you, obviously, at that time. Get a hold of them today. Again, Habish.com or call them 800-2HABISH. That's 800-242-2874. Habish and Rotier, national reputation, hometown service. So I gotta address something here because a guy in the 262 apparently needs hearing aids or something, or has half listening. I'll say he was half listening.
Yeah,
maybe 262. This was a half hour ago, so I apologize for not looking over here, but I wasn't looking at it during the Brewers segment. Sparky, please tell me you were being sarcastic when you told Ryan Wood you felt the Cowboys won the Gary and Parsons trades. When did I say they won the trade? I said from the outside looking in, it didn't look great when you talk about all those draft picks and 2 starters and all that. I never gave my opinion on either one of those deals at the end of the day. In fact, you go back and listen to the 2 o'clock hour. I said it made sense for them to get a 4th-round pick for Rashawn Gary because they were going to cut him anyhow. Either way. If not, I hope for your sake, the station doesn't test its employees for drugs. Well, I'll give you a little inside information here. Most radio stations don't do drug testing. If you want to know the honest to God's truth, most do not.
One of those industries where I don't think safety is involved with that stuff.
No, I don't think there's a lot of testing for drug use in the radio industry in general anymore. And really, I don't think there ever has been. I think I've been here 20 years. Yeah. So I think in 2005 when I got hired, I had to take a test, and that was it. And I know we don't test people now when we hire them.
No, again, I
you
think
didn't get to have to do a test.
No. Again, I don't think there's really safety issues involved with that type of stuff. So why spend the money on it?
Yeah, no, I don't think that was ever a thing. But either way, here we go.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, Charlie, use it. Where we go?
All right, first up, we're going to head back to a John Morosi after Italy played Great Britain. Andrew Fisher talked with John Morosi after Italy played Great Britain, and this is what he had to say about what it means to him to play for the team and go back to his home country of Italy, or where his family is from.
She's definitely celebrating. She's always yelling. I got a great support group up there right now, and my family and friends back home, just trying to be here, represent them, represent Italy, and just compete and have fun.
The trip that you took last summer to Italy to be able to see your homeland, how much did that add to the appreciation of what you're experiencing right now?
Yeah, it was awesome. I got a chance to go, like I said, with a bunch of friends and family as well. So those moments are special, and I mean, this just is incredible to have moments like this out here on the field, represent them. And, this is a good group of guys. I'm learning a lot. You got a ton of veterans out there with me, and I'm trying to take it all in.
So much athleticism and grit on this team, Andrew. What are you noticing from your teammates in the way that you play?
Yeah, it's almost like a college atmosphere. Like it's a will to go on. It's the compete factor. I mean, we don't have a single hole in the lineup. There's no one. There's no weakest link. It's a bunch of guys being dudes, so it's cool. 2 days in, we were bonded well, so it's good.
On that college note, I did text Tony Vitello. I said, hey, did you see what Andrew did? He said, oh, yeah, I certainly did. What role has Tony had in your journey?
Yeah, it's been special. I can't thank him enough. He's given me an opportunity to play at Tennessee and, continue my career, and he helped develop me not only as a player, but just like my character and as a man. So, a lot of thanks to him. Even though if we were wrestling right now, I'd still beat him up.
Oh, yeah, wrestling. What are we doing? Wrestling the manager of the Vols now with the Giants? Oh, yeah.
Guys being dudes, like you said before.
Yeah, I like Andrew Fisher a lot. It'll be fun to see defensively if he is going to be that guy at third base. Now, again, he's got to get in front of Brock Wilken, who's in front of him inside the farm system right now. If Brock Wilken comes out and plays well, they're going to have a decision to make one way or the other. Eventually, some of these dudes are going to get traded. I just hate to be the bearer of bad news. This farm system is so stacked. Eventually, some of these guys are going to get moved because there's going to be nowhere for them to play. And eventually, another team's going to be like, he has nowhere to go. We would like him, please. He's blocked. And that happens when you have good farm systems. Guys get blocked, and then the Brewers have a wealth of riches and can get something of value in return for the major league level by trading one of these minor league guys. All right, what else you got?
Next up, we're going to head on over to an interview with Bryce Harper, where he was discussing the World Baseball Classic, and he's been a real downer this season. He was saying the World Baseball Classic isn't as important compared to the Olympics.
Yeah, I've been fighting for LA 28 for a long time. I think my whole career I've been trying to get something started or something coming up. Obviously, the WC has been great, but it's not the Olympics, right? That's no disrespect to WBC or anything, but everybody knows that when the Olympics are on, everybody's watching. Don't matter what sport it is. It could be the most random sport, and it's got all the fans watching it. So I'm hoping LA 28 happens. I'm hoping the next CBA agreement something can happen where teams and players can come to an agreement on taking that 2-week break, especially it being in our home country. It'd be great for baseball. You talk about growing the game, and being able to grow it at the highest level would help out tremendously.
Okay, so I'm all for it being in the Olympics. There are a lot of dudes watching the World Baseball Classic. Now, the casuals probably aren't. You would get like he said, there are people that don't care about sports, but they're watching the Olympics and watching that happen, right? So you definitely get in front of people for sure. That'll do it for Charlie Sounds of the Day. Up next, Dusty Evely, film analyst from the Pack a Day podcast and Acme Packing Company, coming up on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Don't go anywhere.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Here we go. It helps if I turn my microphone on. Goodness gracious. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Charlie using over there, other side of the glass for the 4 o'clock hour. Coming up this hour, we'll recap what's going on in the NFL free agency because that's really the story of the day, if we're all being honest. Just sitting here refreshing your phones, watching all these insiders, seeing where everybody potentially is going. We'll get into that coming up at 4:20. Things that we missed on today's show. We haven't talked about the Badgers at all. They deserve some love as well. We were going to talk about one Hurley, but the other Hurley just got fired at Arizona State. So we can talk about the Hurley brothers. We can also talk about the game of chess and one current Green Bay Packer player that apparently is a big-time player in the game of chess. So, yeah, we'll dive into that as well. Time now for this.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
Bringing him on now on the guest line, brought to you by Gruber Law. One call, that is all. You can see him right there on X and on YouTube as we stream this bad boy live at WI Sports Radio. Favorite of the show, Dusty Evely, brought to you by our fine folks over there at Gruber Law. Again, part of Acme Packing Company and Pack a Day Podcast, film analyst, and also some don't know, but also was doing some Colts film work there for a minute. Paul Brettel still is doing Colts Wire, and he also works for the Wisconsin State Journal and ESPN Lacrosse. So you people don't realize some of these guys moonlight on the side covering other teams. And Dusty was doing it, but you didn't do this last year, but you had done it previously. So you've got a good idea on Zaire Franklin. You got a good idea on what Gannon's defense calls for. Gannon was there with Franklin in the beginning of Franklin's career as well in Indianapolis. Your thoughts on this deal, Franklin for Colby Wooden?
Yeah, I was going to say I'm excited. I don't know if I'm excited. It's interesting. It is. I think he brings you a little more than McDuffie does, like on his best moments in that role. Because I watched him, like I said, a couple years ago, I watched him in depth when I was doing the Colts stuff, and then I went through his past year. This past year was not quite as good. He's a limited athlete. He is smart, instinctive, moves pretty well to get to the ball in terms of like first step, all that stuff. Doesn't take a whole lot of false steps. There's just not a whole lot of explosion there at this point. And one of the things that I'm curious if this is like one of those things gets cleaned up with the next team, whatever like that. His tackling was not great this past year. I don't think it's been great through his career, but a lot of that just seemed to be, I don't know that I've seen him square up a dude. Like he is really aggressive in the run game in terms of like, if they want him to just run straight out the line and blow up a guard, he'll do that. But then if it's about taking on a tackle, he'll sidestep and then like try to get sideways on him and try to tackle the guy sideways. And like, there's too many missed tackles there. There's too many where it's just, he'll have the right read and then he just can't get there in time. And so I think smart player, if you want him to just hold down the middle, I don't know what they're going to do with him in terms of the green dot. Like clearly smart, clearly knows, like good eyes, sees what's going on in front of him, just limited athletically. And his tackling is just, I don't know. He just makes some weird decisions in tackling, man. So I think it's a better version of Isaiah McDuffie, honestly.
So let's talk about this first of all, they have no guaranteed money attached to them. That's the first thing, right? So there's no dead cap money. So this doesn't work out. They can cut him, move on, and not owe any future. The first thing. The second thing in all of this was, and I brought this up earlier in the show. So he had an ankle issue at the end of 24 going into 25 that he had cleaned up in the offseason prior to last year starting. Then they said, well, all is fine. And then by the time you get to about week 9, week 10, all of a sudden that ankle pops up on the injury report again for a week or two. And then he gets back to playing again. It appeared to me watching, it felt like he was more explosive and faster by the end of the year potentially than he was in the beginning part of the year when I was watching him.
Like, yeah, to some extent, but there was way too many times where again he would look, he'd have the right read, he'd shoot the backfield, and then he's a step behind. Like, I just think I do think he was more explosive. I think he looked a little better as the season went on. I also, at this point in his career, like he was always somewhat limited at this point in his career, I just kind of wonder, is that incoming? I mean, you mentioned like the lack of guaranteed money, all that. This very much seems to me Wooden, as much as I like Colby Wooden, as much as I think he stepped up last year, I don't think it's a fit for what Gannon wants to do. I don't know. I mean, he was going into last year, that was is he going to make the 53? I don't think he's going to make the 53 this year, just based on probably what Gannon is going to want to do there. And so this was a way to, can we get a dude who just knows how to do his job at linebacker? And if it doesn't work out, if someone falls to us in the draft, if someone falls to us in free agency, if I think Quay's out the door, if for some reason Quay isn't going to get as much and they can bring him back, you can get rid of Franklin with nothing lost. And if you bank Wooden, as we were going to cut him anyway, you're not really out anything. So this seems to me very much a baseline. Get someone competent. If we can do better, we'll do better, and it's no harm, no foul. But I do think. I feel like he's limited. I feel like at this point in his career, like I don't know that we see that explosiveness come back.
How does this linebacker core play with Gannon any differently than potentially it did with Hafley? Do you think there is going to be differences of what Gannon is going to ask of these guys versus what Hafley did?
Yeah, that was one of my major issues with Hafley that second year. It was so much he said he was going to do this anyway, but it was a lot of spot drop zone stuff. I can't remember, it was a sight and whatever term he was using to call it by. But it was spot drop zone. It was those guys drop back in their zone. You're covering grass. Like, you're seeing that more throughout the league anyway. And Hafley was doing that. That's something that can be very effective if the pass rush is good. If the pass rush is not good, or if you face a veteran quarterback, which we saw early in the season with like Dak, even when Micah was there and he's getting the ball out so quick, that can get diced up a little bit more. And I think Gannon is a little more in like the match world, where it's less just there is still spot drop stuff in Gannon. There is still times you're going to see just that old school drop back into zone, cover grass, or cover in a zone when you think of straight zone. But the more like the match zone, I don't want to go too deep down that road, but it's a zone, starts as a zone, but then kind of converts to man depending on how the receiver breaks are.
Yep.
That changes how, maybe not necessarily how Franklin will play, because all that stuff will be handled kind of backside, but in terms of how Cooper plays, how the cornerbacks play, all that stuff, it's a more it can be a more aggressive style and turns into kind of a lot more man than what we were seeing. Again, not exactly man, but it plays out like man than we saw last year. So I do think what we will see how Gannon wants to play, I think, and he's changed throughout his career. So how he's going to be, I'm not entirely sure, but I think he wants to be in that like match quarters type world, which is going to ask more communication. It's going to ask more kind of your guys to kind of read stuff on the fly. Again, I don't know how much that changes with Franklin, but I think a guy like Edge Cooper is going to shine in something like this.
So Dusty Evely, Acme Packing Company, Pack a Day podcast film analyst, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. C. Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Let's talk about the defensive line. Ingabare, he is gone. Rashawn Gary traded for a 4th round pick as well. You still need a couple of big dudes for the middle of that line as well. When we start talking about draft versus free agency, I brought this up with Ryan Wood earlier. Where do they go with their free agent money versus where would you feel comfortable going with the draft?
Well, they've got some money freed up. I mean, I've always looked at free agency probably the same way the Packers do to some extent. Like you can swing big if you want to swing big. We saw that work with, the McKinney and the Smiths and like the handful of times they've done that. Really what you want to do, I would say, competency at the holes, at your hole positions you have. If you can get a guy that is a middle road, below average starter that you can say, if nothing else, that's free agency. We're doing that. You don't want to go into the draft with glaring needs, because that leads to you're now reaching for guys. Or if you miss out on a guy, then it's, well, now we don't have anyone. And so we've seen teams do that. You kind of chase that. You kind of don't want to do that. So I kind of want them to see, can we get, there are big dudes, every single year, there's big dudes you can grab and like, all right, we need a plugger in the middle. And again, I don't think Wooden was going to be that. But I think I would like to see them do something with that in free agency. I think cornerback's tougher, just because that's such a much more expensive position. But I'd like to see them can we get competent at these positions in free agency? And again, kind of like what I was talking about with the Franklin thing, get competent at those positions. And then if something opens up to you in the draft, you take something in the draft, you take a swing in the draft, but you're not forced to take a swing in the draft and then you bypass like something else. So I don't want to see them go with needs. That's not what you want.
The other part of this is the fact that they're going to get all these comp picks in next year's draft by losing all these guys in free agency, that they're going to have a ton of picks. And I just wonder whether or not come draft time, Goody decides to use some of his picks that he has currently prior to getting the comp picks to move around in this draft, move up specifically if he wants in a round here or there to go help out this year's roster.
Yeah, especially without that first round pick these next 2 years. I think that seems what you want to do. You stockpile those picks and you can move around in the middle rounds. They've had really good luck, and I don't want to say third round. Although, Tucker Kraft changing that. We got Sean Ryan. That's maybe the winds are changing a little bit, but second, fourth, fifth round, they've found some really good players there. So if you get a little more ammo and move around there, I'd love to see him do something like that. That certainly, I think, is a big part of the equation of these moves.
Tom Dusty Evely, film analyst, Acme Pack Company, Pack a Day podcast here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. This backup quarterback position is still there. Tua apparently headed to the Atlanta Falcons. Cardinals are signing every journeyman they can find. Gardner Minshew is the latest I just saw. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do because Malik Willis went to Miami to solve their issue. What do you think the Packers do here with this backup quarterback position?
I have no idea, man. I mean, right now it's Desmond Ridder, and maybe they roll with that. I prefer them if you want to go the Malik Willis route, if you can find a guy like that. I've always liked the if you can get a backup, and especially we've seen what LaFleur has done with a guy that moves around a little bit more with a different skill set where if you've got 1 or 2 games, he can create from what they have. He can have a game plan to utilize that. I'd love to see a guy just with speed and legs and can maybe hit some throws downfield. Like I've seen Justin Fields floated. I have not paid attention a whole lot today. If Fields is around,
he's still there.
He seems like a slam dunk to me, dude. Like I want someone who can move. I want a chaos agent who can do something with his legs and can also hit some throws downfield occasionally. Fields feels like he would fit that. And for Fields as well, dude, if you've seen what he did with Malik Willis, you see what this team did with Malik Willis. Fields trying to get his career back on track. Well, I can go to Green Bay for a year or 2, maybe get 1 spot start, given that Love seems to miss a start every year. Maybe get in the back half of a game, show what you can do, raise your value for a year or 2 down the line. I think that makes sense for both sides. So that's my pipe dream right now. Is that if it's Ridder, I'll make my peace with it, but I hope it's someone like Fields.
Did you like the Sean Ryan re-sign? At about $11 million a year. I said when it happened, it seems a little expensive to me. Then I saw the Linderbaum deal at 27 here. I said, okay, I'm good. I feel fine about this. $11 million a year. Your thoughts on Ryan and how he looked playing center last year?
Yeah, I really like Ryan. He's a guy. He got better every single year. And last year, didn't make a whole lot of stink. He was moved off that guard spot. They didn't know if he was going to be back at all. Stepped into center with very little reps at center. And I think he got better every week. He wasn't I don't know if he's not a huge needle mover there, but he's just solid. He does his job. He can move well enough, has some issues in pass pro, isn't really going to set a whole lot for you in the run game, but he can move. You want to pull him, he can move. And I think he was perfectly fine. I think he got better. So that's a guy you mentioned that center market, the way the center market's going. I think his deal, you can get out of that in, I think, after year 2 without too much damage. It's really not that bad of a deal. And so if you want to say, all right, Ryan's our guy for the next 2 years, we want our line, we want our continuity, we still want a long-term guy, and then you can kind of hunt in the draft and kind of take a swing at that for a developmental guy. I think that's probably the route you go. But for what we saw out of Ryan last year, I was all in on that. I was, before he even hit free agency, I was like, brother, just bring back Sean Ryan. He was perfectly fine. I thought he looked really good last year.
Dusty, they restructure Banks' contract as well. So right now it's Morgan, Banks, Ryan, Belton, and then Zach Tom at right tackle. How do you feel about that offensive line? We're going to have Mike Wall on tomorrow here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, the former Packer offensive lineman, to get his thoughts. You've watched the film of all these guys. What say you?
Yeah, he'll probably be a lot smarter about this than I am. I will say starting line is fine. I know people have a big problem with Banks. I have a problem with Banks, especially early in the year. But he did get better as the season went on. He had that, I think it was a hip injury or a back injury coming into the year. He barely practiced. I think that hampered him more than anyone kind of thought. Because it was kind of this going in. That's an overpay. He's not going to be very good. And then he wasn't very good in the first half of the season. So this guy just stinks. And
right.
Maybe he does. But by the end of the year, he was fine. He still had some busts. He wasn't great. But I think if that's your weak link is your left guard, I think that's fine. And even then, I think he can be perfectly solid. And then I really like Morgan. The Morgan Belton stuff was so weird to me because since they were drafted, it was, well, Morgan seems like he's more natural at tackle, and they kept bumping him into guard. And Belton seemed like he was more natural at guard, and they kept moving him to tackle. That was his position. So now that those guys, it feels like they're in their natural position. So you got Belton and Morgan. I really like Belton as the season went on, he's another guy that got better every single week. He had some busts, he had some weird stuff, but he can move. I think the pass pro stuff was a little wonky. He'd miss his target sometimes on run stuff. But for the most part, I think he got better every single week, got a little more comfortable. I don't think he knew what he was doing the first couple of weeks. And Morgan, we just haven't seen a whole lot of, but I think his feet are fine at tackle. I really like him a lot. So I think the weak link there probably is going to be Banks, but I also think he's perfectly capable. The depth is wonky after that. I don't feel great about the depth behind it, but I think the top five, I think you can win with the top five.
I got Kennard back on a 1-year deal today at 3.75.
That's true. I like that one.
Hey, why should we feel any better about this than we did last year? It's the same offensive line coach still sitting there in Luke Butkus. It's the same offensive coordinator in Stenovich. They couldn't seem to develop these guys necessarily. And so we should feel differently going into this year with the same group.
See, I kind of go back and forth on that because I don't really love Butkus and I don't really love Steno based on what we've seen. But it's also, I think developmentally they've been fine. It's more some of the game day. I mean, they got wrecked by the Bears. That line got wrecked by the Bears, but that wasn't a talent thing. That was just a weird plan thing. There was weird bust. That was a game day thing. If you look at development, again, I think Morgan's gotten better. We still haven't seen a whole lot of him. I think Ryan's development has been insane based on kind of where he was in year 2. Based on where he is now, I think has gotten way better. Belton, again, better every single week. I think Banks got better as he got healthier. And then Tom, I think, looked good as well. So to me, it's some of the details that need to be buttoned up. And you're right. I mean, I don't feel the offense, I think, is still going to be a little herky-jerky just based on those guys. They haven't shown me enough to show they can be like super smooth. But we also saw development, even on the wide receiver side as well. And we got there's a new wide receiver coach in, Paulie, that I'm really excited about. Golden got better. Stuff went on as well. I mean, he was in over his head early on. And then as the season went on, towards the end, he got more comfortable in the offense. So I think it's weird because there is individual development in the player. You can see those guys get better. You can see them. I don't like the decisions that were made on the offensive line. I don't like that Belton was tried so hard at tackle. I don't know why it took so long to get him to guard. That decision has me question Steno and Butkus and LaFleur. Like, I don't know what that was. But after they kind of got them in there, you could see their development in there. So I think individual development, I kind of like where they're at. But some of the game day, like play-to-play stuff, there's just some confusion on the plays themselves. It's less player talent stuff to me and more just communication of some of the plan. And that's where I kind of run into that stuff. But the development, I think, has been fine.
I still don't understand why they're both there, but either way, he is Dusty Evely, Acme Packing Company, Packing Day podcast film analyst, one of the best around. Follow him on X at Dusty Evely. Dusty, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Good to see you, Sparky. Thank you, sir.
You betcha. Take care. There he is, Dusty Evely, joining us right there on X and on YouTube as we live stream at WI Sports Radio. Joining us on the guest line, brought to you by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. He also is not a fan of Zaire Franklin. I'm by myself.
He called him a little bit better than Isaiah McDuffie, Sparky.
Correct.
Like, that didn't scare you at all.
But this is the thing, though, right? So the one thing that I'm going to continue to point out is if they don't like him, they just move on. Like, they don't got to stick around. They're not tied. It's not like this guy's got, $12 million in dead cap money if they cut him if he sucks. They can literally just be like, okay, cool, we're out. And again, I brought this up earlier because Leo Chanel is a guy that's out there right now. And I don't think Leo Chanel is going to cost a ton of money. I mean, you could go get Leo Chanel and throw him in the linebacker room too and see what happens. Don't forget, they drafted Hopper a couple of years ago. He hasn't had a ton of playing time. So I would assume he's going to get a chance at this thing. We know that Hafley loved McDuffie. Now, will Gannon love McDuffie? Don't know. We know if it doesn't work out, he'll have a job in Miami because Hafley will bring him in, Boston College guys. We know that'll work out. So, yeah, we don't know what Gannon wants. You would assume Goody went to Gannon and said, hey, man, you guys were together in Indy. You've seen the film. Do you want him or not? Like, I got to figure this out here. And I'm assuming Gannon said yes, and then Gannon knows how to use him. That's my assumption. If that assumption is wrong and Gannon had no take in this whatsoever, then that's a gigantic mistake by Brian Gutekunst.
I mean, Gannon has to have some kind of say in this. It feels like he's had say in every other decision that's been made on the defense so far, if not the outright choice. I think this is something where you trust him to bring in his guys and see if it works out. And then next year, if it didn't work out, then Brian Gutekunst probably brings in his guys and it makes it work that way.
Exactly right. He is Charlie Houston, C Sparky Fiber with you. Come back. We'll recap what's going on around the rest of the National Football League. Lots and lots
of movement going on with different players switching teams and so forth. We'll get into all of that straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily. We can't allow Tommy in here telling stories and breaks because now I can't focus on what the heck I'm supposed to do for a radio show. Tommy, what's coming up? Wisconsin Sports wrap up from 5 until 6 today. They're going to be the best of what happened on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network from earlier today. If you missed Ryan Wood in the 3 o'clock hour, Dusty Evely there in that last segment, or anything else that happened on the show. We had a poll question that's still up as well of the moves the Packers have made. Which have you liked the best? The Banks restructure, the trade for Franklin, the moving on from Rashawn Gary, or the Sean Ryan re-signing. Those are your options. Vote now on X at WI Sports Radio. Again, vote on X at WI Sports Radio. Coming up tomorrow, Mike Wall will join the show. I'm looking forward to having him on. What time is he on at tomorrow? 4, I think I said. Yep. 4 o'clock tomorrow. Mike Wall will join us, and looking very forward to getting his thoughts on all of this. Maybe the Packers will actually have done something more than just sign Kennard to a 1-year deal, because that's all that's happened today.
Exciting.
As far as free agents go, signing $3.75 million, I believe it was, according to the Pat McAfee show. So we'll see if there's any major news that still happens tonight. They did release Elton Jenkins a little while ago. So now he is out there on the free agent market. Charlie and I were talking in the last break, 2 breaks ago, about the Minnesota Vikings still don't have a center, we don't think, right?
Nope, not as far as I've seen. And again, a lot of these centers are moving through the market right now. The Bears found their guy. The Lions went and made a signing. I think it's going to be tough to find one, especially since, again, they started this search process for them really late because their center was a surprise retiring too.
Correct. Remind me to talk about the Atlanta Hawks canceling an in-arena promotion when we get to things that Sparky missed.
Well, they didn't cancel it. The NBA canceled
it. The NBA, right. I just got the email from Mark Broussard from the NBA. I have it in my phone right now, like 12 minutes ago. It just came across. So, yeah, we definitely have to jump into that too. Okay, so NFL free agency. Listen, some of the things that happened today. Linderbaum, who we talked about, the center for the Ravens, is going to average $27 million a year to be the starting center for the Las Vegas Raiders, who, by all expectations, are going to draft Mendoza, the quarterback from Indiana. So, again, when you have a quarterback on a rookie contract, it affords you the opportunity to do other deals. The fact that you traded Max Crosby and saved all that money affords you to do other deals as well. They also signed Kwity Paye, who is a former draft pick of the Colts, pass rusher for the Colts out of Michigan. He's getting like $16 million a year. I just shook my head at that one as well. So a lot of money being tossed around the National Football League. The Tennessee Titans have had a ton of money to spend. They've been out there very aggressively spending money too. Tua gets released by the Dolphins. They eat $99 million in dead money this year. $99 million. And Tua then goes to the Atlanta Falcons with Michael Penix. So right now their quarterback room is both of those two guys, both left-handed quarterbacks, and we'll see what that looks like. We'll see if that actually is a competition. I would assume to get Tua, you told them it was going to be an open competition.
You have to, but you probably had to tell Michael Penix the same thing, and I'm sure he's not too happy about that. Not that he's played all that great to earn that starting spot. At the same time, feels weird to spend a first-round pick this recently and then immediately go and make him go through 2 different competitions in his first 3 years.
Agreed. And the other thing, too, with the Atlanta Falcons right now is what direction are they really headed? And I think you could say the same thing about the Indianapolis Colts, because the Colts spent way too much money on Alec Pierce earlier today.
Way
too much money. What was that deal at? $27 million or something like that?
Pete
26
Prisco
million?
on CBS, he called it giving great money to a good player. I think that's exactly what it is. And I said that last week when you mentioned, oh, maybe the Bears could go out and sign. I was like, he's just hasn't shown he can be that good. That's a crazy amount of money to gamble on that guy and to make him your wide receiver 1 after trading away Michael Pittman.
Correct. They trade Michael Pittman to the Steelers and then have a late round swap. That was the deal. So essentially the Steelers gave up nothing to take on Michael Pittman to go to Pittsburgh. They don't have a quarterback in Pittsburgh.
They just also have a really weird wide receiver room now. I feel like Michael Pittman doesn't play all that different from a DK Metcalf, besides Metcalf's downfield ability too.
Right.
That adds on, but everything else about them is very similar in my mind. And then your third wide receiver is Roman Wilson, who barely played last season when everybody expected him to step up. So now you have two really high-end guys and then nobody else with no quarterback. Weird.
I have no idea. The Chiefs and Travis Kelce back together again, according to Ian Rappaport. Kelce will make $12 million in 2026 with a chance to make up to $15 million. And that's good. But the story of the day for the Chiefs is what there, Charlie?
The story for the Chiefs over there today is that Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker has decided to sign with them. Kind of crazy move because a lot of people had been predicting Bryce Love, the running back out of Notre Dame, to them in the draft. This completely changes that whole idea. Maybe the Chiefs want to trade their pick in the first round. Maybe the Packers should look into that if they like somebody.
I am absolutely petrified of Kenneth Walker in that offense with Patrick Mahomes.
That's gonna be so cool.
And again, Mahomes isn't going to be back right away at the start of the year, but Kenneth Walker in that Chiefs offense with everybody spread out like that, Kenneth Walker is going to put up stupid numbers.
You know what they're going to do? Part of the reason Travis Kelce came back a bit, Tyreek Hill's coming back too for that wide receiver room, and it's going to be cheap too.
You think so?
That's going to be a fast, athletic offense, even though they're older. There's some of these injury concerns. At the same time, when everybody's healthy in that group, it's going to feel like those old Chiefs teams.
Yeah, that's something. Marcus Mariota, a guy that was with Matt LaFleur in Tennessee for his 1 year as offensive coordinator, who some speculated could be the Packers' backup quarterback. Not so fast. Back to the Commanders, 1 year, $7 million, could make up to $11 million in incentives.
That feels kind of low in my mind, the way that people are talking about him as that kind of backup quarterback. Heading back there for only $7 million, that's a good signing for Washington. I think he fits really well as that backup in that system, kind of like we were talking about with Tua going to Atlanta to fit into the left-hand system. He fits right into that Jaden Daniels system. Again, we talked about with Dusty Evely, that's the type of player you want, though, an athlete who can make some kind of game-changing moves despite maybe not having that type of ceiling before as a starter.
Also, a couple hours ago, John Franklin Myers, defensive lineman for the Broncos. Apparently, there were 6 or 7 teams involved in this one. Don't know if the Packers were one or not. I would be surprised if they weren't. Signs with the Titans, 3 years, $63 million, $42 million guaranteed. I feel like that's too rich for the Packers, blood.
Probably, and I think that's coming off of a season with a Denver defense where, again, he's surrounded by a lot of guys with a lot of talent and a great defensive system. That feels like a gamble that the Packers just shouldn't be willing to make.
Mike Evans, formerly of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 3-year deal with the Niners. That is an immediate upgrade to that wide receiver room. And Brock Purdy is probably doing backflips to get Mike Evans away from Tampa Bay.
Well, and unlike what they're doing in Pittsburgh, that feels like a wide receiver that just fits in perfectly with the talent that's already in that room too. It feels like it adds that extra dimension that you didn't have before versus stacking up on a bunch of guys that are kind of the same player in some sense.
Absolutely right. David Edwards, the former Wisconsin Badger, goes to the Saints. Deal worth upwards of $15 million per year. Plus, they get Travis Etienne as well from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I like what the Saints are doing. That's fun. You know, you made some big changes with the kind of the culture by releasing Cam Jordan earlier last week. I think this is a move where you, again, jump into that next phase for the Saints team because they were holding on to a lot of these veterans, that old system, as long as they could. Now these are moves that you can make. And Etienne playing at Clemson and being from that kind of that southern roots, this is the place that he wants to go, a place that he wants to play. I mean, the Saints are making good moves here.
What about your Chicago Bears? They've been busy as well today. Their first deal of the day, if I remember correctly, Kobe Bryant, the safety from the Seahawks. I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan. I thought he was awesome in college. I really liked him in Seattle. That's a big-time signing, I think, for the Bears.
I think so. He's a guy that can float between that safety corner, kind of that nickel spot. You already have Kyler Gordon, who already plays that, but there's a big chance he's going to have to move into kind of a 1 or 2 cornerback role this season if he can stay healthy. Bryant's a guy you can move from safety to cornerback room. What that also tells me is that at least one of the 2 safeties that the Bears have in the free agent market, Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard, one of them is not coming back.
All right. What about the Devin Bush signing? You like that one?
I do like that one. He's a really athletic player. He played last year with the Cleveland Browns and kind of had a little bit of a resurgence with them after being a little disappointing in Pittsburgh for a while there. Playing last year with Carson Schlesinger, the rookie, you could see that they played really well off of each other. And then that athleticism that Bush showed paired really well with that aggressiveness that Schlesinger had as a rookie. I really like that move. I think it fits in well with some of the other moves they've made. Again, it feels like they're just getting younger with that linebacker room, like I mentioned earlier in the show, which fits what this Bears team's direction is.
Okay, we'll take a quick time out. We're going to come back on the other side and get to things that we missed on today's show. And it's all over the board. It's all over the board. The one thing that we never miss is our chance to talk about Prize Picks, baby. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code Sparky to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Sparky to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. All we're talking about is daily fantasy, right? More or less on two or more player stat projections. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss the chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. Now, they also offer a bunch of other cool things too, including injury reboots, which means if your player either doesn't play, then they just get taken on the lineup and you continue on with what you have. Now, as experienced by me, last week we had a 2-player lineup, but one player was stacked 3 times. That player never ended up playing, Jonathan Kuminga, and all we had was Giannis. So I got a full refund on my lineup because I only had one player left in the lineup. So they just refunded me my money. Now let's say you have a 5-player lineup and one of your guys gets hurt in the first half of the game. They take that guy out and you play with a 4-player lineup at that point. It's a beautiful thing. Only at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code Sparky to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Sparky to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie using over there. Lots to get to. Don't forget, coming up at 5 o'clock, it's Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Wirtz. A big old hunk of love is back from spring training, looking all tan and ready to roll back in the saddle again. Sounded good earlier today with Mitch Thunder Nellis. Mason Crosby's off this week. John Kuhn's off this week for spring break. So they're both, well, Kuhn's off in a warm location. I believe didn't they say he was in Hawaii or something?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know where Crosby's going. So they're both off.
He's already in a warm location anyways,
Nashville down there, yeah. For our house, where it's all screwed up. So for our house, the kid that's at lacrosse and then the kid that's in 3K, they both have spring break next week. And then the 10-year-old doesn't have spring break until 2 weeks after they're done with spring break. Like, it's all screwed up. Why can't we all just have spring break at the same time?
I don't know. I don't think the UW school system is talking with the elementary school system and talking with your pre-K system.
I mean, when I was growing up, it was always around Easter's when we got spring break. Now they're taking spring break like a month before Easter.
Well, it's because everybody's got different plans for everybody. Again, colleges got different plans than the elementary schools, got different plans than the pre-K schools, I guess.
I don't understand. What do you mean they have different plans? What, teachers have to go on vacation, so they got to shut the school down because they have vacations planned in March?
What it seems like sometimes,
Get
man.
out of here. That's
I
nonsense.
don't plan these schools. Dude.
When was spring break when you were growing up?
I don't know, man. It changed.
Charlie has no idea. I don't know. I woke up. I didn't know what day was half the time.
I knew I had 1 week off, and that whenever that week happened, I knew that's when it was happening.
Yeah, man. I'm just old, man. Growing up, it was always around Easter. Now they take spring break now, and then they'll get off Good Friday, the day before Easter. And then I'm assuming they go back the day after Easter right away on that Monday versus having that whole next week off, which is how it used to be.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it used to be. But life doesn't make sense anymore. So we'll move on.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
All right, lots of things that we missed on today's show. The one thing that happened during our show that I want to make sure we get here. Did you hear about what the Atlanta Hawks were planning on doing as a promotion?
It was a Magic City night.
Magic City game promotion coming up on March 16th. What is Magic City, Charlie?
Magic City is a very famous strip club down in Atlanta. It's where Lou Williams got caught missing a game because he was eating wings instead.
And it's been there forever. Hundreds and hundreds of athletes have visited that strip club over the course of time. Now, I don't believe they plan on having stripper poles and strippers stripping at the game. That was not the plan. But I forgot, who was it? Who was the idiot that came out, the NBA player that was disgusted by the fact that they were going to do it? It was an NBA player. That was complaining about it last week. Well, now Adam Silver has come out. Quote, when we became aware of the Atlanta Hawks scheduled promotion, we reached out to Hawks leadership to better understand their plans and rationale. While we appreciate the team's perspective and their desire to move forward, we have heard significant concerns from a broad array of league stakeholders, including fans, partners, and employees. I believe canceling this promotion is the right decision for the broader NBA community.
It was Luke Cornett.
That's
the player that
Cornett,
said it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he was saying it was demeaning to women, all of that type of argument back. And the Hawks were just like, how is this demeaning women? We're supporting their business, which is the most lame response ever.
Absolutely stupid. So that is the latest there on the Atlanta Hawks. And you can only imagine the comments under that posting from the NBA on social media. So that is all done. But the strip club got a ton of promotion out of it.
Not that they needed it. Again, it's the most famous one in Atlanta.
Right. Exactly right. Jeffrey Simmons here, who is the lineman, been around for quite a while with the Tennessee Titans. Remember that in that draft when he was drafted, he was hurt, I believe, in that first year coming into the draft, and he slipped a little bit, but he's a really good defensive lineman for the Titans. There was a report from Jordan Schultz that the Packers explored trade options for Elgton Jenkins before ultimately releasing him. And Simmons just quote tweeted it with the whole scratching your chin emoji, that's interesting. Now,
I don't know what that all means. Why does he have interest in Elton Jenkins in a possible trade for?
Maybe not that, but maybe he's just interested in Elton Jenkins and he's more responding to the fact that Jenkins has been released. I know he quote tweeted that specific one about the trade packages, but maybe he wants Jenkins in Tennessee.
Were the Packers trying to get Jeffrey Simmons from the Titans?
I don't doubt it. I mean, again,
Was
I mentioned
Jenkins positive.
I mentioned putting him into a trade for Jalen Carter earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff Simmons was in that same kind of conversation. Jeff Simmons is better than Jalen Carter, in my opinion. He's older, but he is definitely more established and has been playing really well on some bad Tennessee Titans teams. He could definitely help out this Packers team. I wouldn't be surprised if they were looking at him.
Adam McKelvey, Aaron Ashby started today for the Milwaukee Brewers and talked with Sophia Minard. Said Ashby tinkered with Brandon Sproat's slider grip in catch play and threw it against the Dodgers today and liked it. Do you see what we mean when we say you don't know what's going on with these pitchers and what they're actually doing out there? Sometimes they go out there with the idea of we're only going to throw 2 and 4 seam fastballs. And I'm not throwing anything else. We're just going to work on that. Or I'm going to go out there and work on breaking pitches. I'm not going to throw fastballs. Like, you really don't know what is actually being worked on in these games. So a pitcher could get blown up, but they weren't really even trying to necessarily do anything other than just get some reps in with a certain pitch.
Well, and especially for a guy like Ashby, who may potentially have to be a starter, may potentially have to be a reliever, it's better to bolster that repertoire that you have now versus later in the season when you're switching back and forth.
This from over the weekend, Mr. Hurley at UConn, who, again, I think a lot of people have had their fill of as head coach over there. And again, he's won national championship and all of that. But he lost his cool in the final seconds of the Marquette game over the weekend.
UConn can tie it or win it.
Gotta go
on this possession. Dibbery! No! Rebound! Marquette! 0.4 is left. It's not over. It's not over. Did we get a tee?
Danny Hurley just got thrown out of the game.
Danny Hurley just got turned away. A technical called by Gaffney as Hurley left the bench. That will secure the win, and the crowd knows it.
Kamani Young imploring Danny Hurley, trying to be that stopgap, if you will, to get his coach to head to the locker room. But I understand the passion.
Yeah,
he wanted a foul call right here.
Yeah.
Right play by Dimmery, and really good defense. Not good, great defense by Ben Gold.
Danny knew that a tie ball was going to Marquette, so in all likelihood the game is over regardless. But boy, what a bad time to get tossed.
So the crazy part about that is I highlight courtesy of Fox. Tim Brando was on the call. So I think it was yesterday. They came out, the Big East came out and said they didn't see any contact between Hurley and the referee. And Brando was on X going, yeah, we saw there was definitely contact between those two. What are you talking about there was no contact?
It was so bad. And like, again, when you watch the penalty that he's supposedly arguing here, barely, the guy was straight up, Gold was straight up that whole way. He gets pushed back a little bit into the restricted zone. I think that's what he's complaining about. But every time something doesn't go your way, you can't just automatically start complaining. Right. And I'm glad that the NCAA feels like they're holding him accountable specifically this season, because it's just consistent. These outbursts, the refs are done with it, man.
Absolutely are. Hurley's brother, Bobby Hurley, got fired today from Arizona State. I wanted to play this too before we get out of here. Tim Brando put this on X as well. And this was from the 1977 National Championship game when Marquette won it.
Another storybook, Kurt. It's sports, it only can happen, it seems, in this wonderful world in which we work. A man who didn't think he'd even be in the tournament. He gave up on even having a chance to be in the tournament. Here he is, 26 seconds away from completing that impossible dream.
He said he drove his team down the stretch look at that. McGuire, I think, is crying.
He won't let him so. It's tough for him to show his emotions. He would rather be out under his favorite tree all alone and thinking about this and counting the flowers and smelling a wonderful life. Thank you, Al McGuire. Oh, thank you for the many great moments you've given us.
He goes backpacking in New Zealand.
This is
motorcycle rider. Very interesting. Love the out of doors. Marquette hits another free throw. And the new national champs lead by 9.
And you know who Al McGuire is crying for, not himself, his players. He wanted it for them.
Counts. And Marquette has won the national championship. That was Dean Smith who came down. McGuire choke shot.
That is awesome. I've never heard that call. That's such a cool call. Al McGuire going into that thing pretty much said, we're just going to screw it up for somebody else. We got no chance. It's pretty much what he said. And then they won the national championship. How cool is that? That'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Up next, Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up. Have a good night, Wisconsin. Toodles!